Gather the boys around the radio, park the truck and turn it up, it's time for the show. JB and JC and Mad Dog Mully, it's a power three for these amigos, a lunchtime meet and treat, a power trio. With guests and fans that really rock, it's time to talk 3 hours about those damn Gamecocks. So grab sandwich, soup, or beer and let's go. It's time for the show. Oh no, it's time for TG, the Gamecock Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, the show is about to start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
He'll be fine on the mountain.
It's time for Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Built by the Vanderbilt Company, presented by Resto Pros of the Midlands, and part of the Chief Sports Network.
Touchdown Carolina! Touchdown Ace Sanders! Pressure! And he just dives in!
Here's J.C. Sherbert, Phil Wollinax, and Jamie Bradford.
Well, I have a microphone, and you don't.
So you will listen to
every damn word I have to say!
Papa Top again.
Freak
Finally, Friday, I'm free again. I got my motor running for a wild weekend.
freak out, yo.
Oh, don't you dare look back, just keep your eyes on me. I said you're holding back. She said shut up and dance with me. This woman is my destiny. She said ooh, ooh. Shut up and dance. Don't you dare look back, just keep your eyes on me. I said you're holding back. She said shut up and dance with me. This woman is my destiny. She said ooh, ooh. Shut up and dance with me.
Hey, it is Friday. Hey. Greetings. Good morning. Welcome aboard. Welcome home inside the Gamecocks, the show built by the Barndo Co. and presented by our friends at Resto Pros. There when you need them, Resto Pros of the Midlands. They are the best. I can't wait to see Jeff next week at our club chief tailgate at TLC before the ball game. You'll get a chance to meet the great Jeff Sturgis. He's a wonderful man. He's got a wonderful business, and they'll help you. If you need the help, they'll help you. God bless those, by the way, went through more flooding. Can you believe that? Yesterday in Orangeburg County, about 16 inches of rain, roads washed out. Resto Pros is wonderful, and they are there when you need them. So is the Barndo Co. to build your dream home in the Carolinas. They got all the awards to prove it. One of the nation's best builders, thebarndoco.com. They'll also be at our Club Chief tailgate next week. So get your tickets. They've been coming in. We will probably be sold out, I would imagine, by Monday. So thanks to all of you who have gotten those. Thebarndoco.com. Mad Dog, Matt, myself, JB here until 2. Well, Mr. Late Night is here until 1. And then we'll be joined by Michael Flint and, well, I can't say, but somebody will be here at 1:30. Okay? Somebody will be here at 1:30. We're going to put him in his place this week.
Oh, which
We're
one?
Okay. Michael.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah.
We're going to put him in his place. All right? I've had enough. I took the advice of his father and his mother and his brother and his sister. I've had enough. So we're going to put him in his place. But it's going to be an entertaining final 30 minutes of the program. So we sure hope everybody will stick around. Coming up at noon, we'll be joined by the wonderful voice of the great Derek Scott. He'll be calling game 2 tonight. South Carolina State is in Columbia to take on the men's basketball team. Obviously, they had a rough go on Monday, kicking the season off or tipping the season off. And so we're looking forward to talking to him. Matt, that's what's so great about November through June. We get the voice of Derek Scott, basketball and baseball, and look forward to getting him back on. So we are fired up over that. We'll give you the high school football slate and talk a little bit of that. And we'll get around the rest of the SEC and around the country. No Raphael today. The Vegas job has gotten in the way of that. So unfortunately, we will not have Raphael today, but he will be back next week. Before I tee up the ball game and get into a couple other things, good morning to Mad Dog and good morning to the king of late night.
Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today?
Well, it's Friday.
We made it finally.
Yeah, I know.
It's been a damn week.
Yesterday, I didn't know that we would make it. I was frustrated, not at Phil. It's not Phil's fault, but Phil's at Master Control getting through all the stuff, and we had all kinds of technical issues. But that's the way the world works sometimes. And so hopefully we're off and running and better than ever. Make technology great again is the term around here, and so we will certainly do our best to do that. To tee it up, this weekend, it's Carolina and it's Vanderbilt. The Commodores come in ranked in the AP poll, but they are not ranked in the college football playoff poll. Carolina is not in either. Will they be in, though, if they win the game? We'll find out. We'll see next week if South Carolina is able to go up there and get things done. Maybe they'll slip into one or both of those polls. It's a scheduled 4:15 Eastern kick, 3:15 Central Time tomorrow. It's supposed to be 72 degrees at kickoff and not raining, but then maybe about an hour into the ball game, expecting some showers through the end of the game, about a 50% chance of those. So we'll see how that does affect things. It's on the SEC network. It is Dave Neal, it is Aaron Murray, and it is Ashley Shah Ahmadi who will be on the sidelines. And the Gamecock Sports Network, Todd, Tommy, and Chet will call it. If you're going to be traveling and you can only listen and you can't pull up the Gamecocks app for some reason, you can pull up SiriusXM if you've got that, and that is on channel 374. Commodores 6-3, 3-2. Gamecocks 5-3, 3-3. It is sold out First Bank Stadium. But it's a little bit different than sold out Williams-Brice Stadium. Because of construction, the capacity has been decreased to 28,934. They're expecting around 30,000 folks in the ballgame tomorrow. That number will go back up once they complete it to right around 40,000. South Carolina is looking for its 16th straight victory over Vanderbilt. 16th. And it will be their 8th straight in Nashville. A win over Vandy would also give the Gamecocks their 6th win of the year. And you know what that means? They're bowling if they can get it this weekend. It would give Carolina their 4th SEC win of the year. They had 4 in 2022. Obviously, last year they were underneath that number, trying to get back there again. And it would give Carolina their 2nd straight win over a ranked opponent after 8 straight losses. So, look, guys, Vanderbilt, if you look at the SEC, right, I think you could safely argue these are the 2 best stories in the league, right? Agree?
Yeah, as far as feel-good stories and all that, I mean, there's stories at the top of who's going to make the college football playoffs, and South Carolina may not be too far out of that, maybe not Vanderbilt either. I mean, a lot of things have to go their way, but yeah, as far as happy stories, absolutely, this is the feel-good stories of the SEC.
Yeah, I think so, Phil. I mean, obviously Vanderbilt. I mean, Carolina would be much more believable than Vanderbilt. I mean, let's be honest. Vandy has played one more game than the Gamecocks have thus far. But if you polled anybody in America before the season and said through 8 for the Gamecocks and 9 for the Commodores, Vandy will be bowl eligible for South Carolina, you would have gotten laughed at first, and you would have gotten every vote in the other direction. They would have all said, no, there's no way. But there is a way, because it's true already. Vanderbilt is going to be in the postseason. This South Carolina football team brings in arguably the best defense in the country. And I say arguably because you can look at different metrics and things of that nature. But the latest one coming out is when it comes to the PFF ratings, and they're 0.7 points behind Texas. Vanderbilt has done it with defense, as you would expect, like with Clark Lee, but also a dynamic little quarterback named Diego Pavia, who we'll be talking about a lot on the program today, who transferred in with Jerry Kill. And they've kind of been able to renovate that offense a little bit and make it fun and herky-jerky, and they never go away. They're pesky little gnats. They never go away, and that's why they've already got 6 wins, Matt.
And it's ball control. They really don't make mistakes. I mean, they're a lot like Texas A&M, and what we talked about last week is you're going to have to go beat them. They're not going to beat themselves. They're not going to have they had a multi-turnover game against Texas, but some of those turnovers were batted balls and that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, my key to this one, JB, and I don't know how much we're going to talk about now versus later in the show and the final hour with you guys, but the key to the game for me, for the Gamecocks, is just see what Diego is right now. His last 3 games have not been his best games of the season. Alex Jones thinks that he might be a little banged up, but if you go look at the last 3 games for Diego, it hasn't been all sunshine and roses like it had been prior. So I think if the Gamecocks find a way to get back there into the backfield like they've done all season long, Diego's the X factor. If he has an Alabama type game, then Gamecocks will be in a fourth quarter game and they might lose. But if he has the game that he had last week against Auburn, the Gamecocks probably walk out of Nashville with a sizable win.
Yeah, and we're going to get into the matchup. I've mentioned multiple times this week that I don't think this is a great matchup for Vanderbilt. Not that I haven't been wrong before, but I just like where things kind of stand for South Carolina based on what they do well, based on what Vanderbilt does and doesn't do well. But the point, these teams like this that are well coached, they're disciplined. They're kind of having a renaissance of sorts, kind of a rising from the dead almost, if you will. I mean, nobody gave Vanderbilt a shot, and here they are with 6 wins on the season, an upset over Alabama. They almost pulled off an upset against the Texas Longhorns. Tennessee better be careful in that last game at the end of the year. But then it goes back, you sometimes when you play like Carolina is on the other end of this, what I'm about to say, in multiple series. There sometimes can be a mental block. And sometimes you've just had enough and like, okay, we're going to get over the hump. And maybe that happens this year. But close games, blowouts, whatever it is, South Carolina has owned Vanderbilt. 29-4 is the all-time series. And as I mentioned, 16 straight. And as JC pointed out, the last time that the Gamecocks lost in the series, I think everybody in the league has lost to Vanderbilt. Everybody. Carolina's the only one that's beaten them every time. The last 15 years, they've beaten everybody else at some point in time or another. So, we all look at the Vanderbilt Commodores. Nobody gives them a lot of respect. They're just there. They're just there, but they're not just there anymore. They are playing for something, and they're a bunch of angry Hornets. Carolina's got to put up with that this weekend, but I do like the matchup.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think so too. And it'd be hold on, JC's not here. The kill zone, so we could get our opportunity to see what Carolina can do for that. Yeah, I don't know, but I'm with you, JB. I don't think Vandy matches up well. And here's the thing: we don't have to fear mobile quarterbacks anymore around here, right? Like, I feel like we've freed ourselves from that with handling Marcel Reed last week, and managing it well. Jalen Milroe, same thing. I can't remember his name now, but the redshirt freshman from Oklahoma who was, a little less pocket passer than Jackson Arnold. Yeah, and all that. So, it's going to be interesting. You got to contain him, but I think the Gamecocks have the defense to do it.
I do too. Carolina hung 47 on them last year in Williams-Brice Stadium, 38 the year prior in Nashville, and then remember in Shane Beamer's first year, they squeaked out that win at the end, 21-20, the touchdown pass, and Gamecocks get out of the south end zone and out of Williams-Brice. By the smallest of margins. You go back to it's 2017. It was a tight game. South Carolina escaped there at home. And then Will Muschamp's first year, if you remember, Elliott Fry with the field goal towards the end of the ball game, a 13-10 final. Outside of that, it just really hadn't been that close. There have been a few years here and there but those were the chances that Vandy had, and they couldn't get them done. And that's what, to your point a minute ago, Matt and Phil, if it is a close game, sometimes that mental block takes over, history takes over. Like, I don't know, can we do it this time? I think the difference with Vanderbilt, though, to give them credit here, is that the guys who they have brought in to make plays and to make decisions in those crucial moments know nothing about that. They weren't around for any of it. It's not part of their history. It's part of the program's history, but not theirs. Diego Pavia could care less what happened in 2021 in Shane Beamer's first year. So, you do feel like, maybe that is something that's just not going to be in the back of their minds if it's a close ball game. So credit to them on that. And for South Carolina, it's like, okay, we've done this before. and we could do it again. I maintain, and we'll make our picks at the end of the game, at the end of the show. But I maintain if Carolina protects the football, like always, that's the same thing week in, week out. If they protect the football, I think everything else kind of falls into place.
Yep. And it's just going to be such an interesting environment, too. I mean, you're talking about 29,000 fans. I'm sure there will be a lot of Gamecocks in Nashville.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot.
There's a lot of I know of a couple of Gamecocks that are down there right now, over there right now. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a weird – all the Vanderbilt home games have kind of been a weird vibe watching on TV. So this one will be definitely fun, and it'll be intimate.
Yeah. There's no question. Want to give a shout out to somebody who was on our program last year. She is a South Carolina Hall of Famer, Dawn Ellerby, who is the assistant vice chancellor and senior associate at AD at Vandy. She was a track and field All-American for the Gamecocks, and she was an Olympian. And when she was inducted into the Hall of Fame last year, it was an honor to have her on our program. So I know she'll be pulling for Vanderbilt this weekend. That's who writes her paycheck, but she will always be a Gamecock. So that'll be a neat little tie-in to the ball game as well. It is 11:19, so we will step aside, and when we return, we will turn our attention to a Gamecock program playing for a championship on Saturday, if you haven't paid attention. And I'll give you some thoughts about what happened last night down at the Joe. Riley Park was the home of the Cougars for one evening, as Paul Maneri and his Gamecocks made their way to town. Over 5,000 people went to a fall baseball exhibition. Don't ever tell me this ain't a baseball state. The people love baseball in South Carolina, and it was a wonderful, wonderful atmosphere. Carolina did fall 12-11, but don't take anything by any of the score as indicative of anything other than it was a fall scrimmage. It was a neat deal. So we'll get to all that. We'll get to our high school boys as they're going to be back on the field tonight. We got Derek Scott ahead, Michael Flint, and a special guest to call Michael out at 1:30, and we'll talk plenty of Gamecock football as well. Inside the Gamecocks is brought to you by our friends at Gamecock Traditions. Head on over and see them this weekend. It's an off week. Get dressed. It's going to be cooler next week in Williams-Brice Stadium. Yeah, man, that fall crisp air before Missouri and Carolina kick off. You're going to want an overthrow or a hoodie or a Q-zip or whatever it is. Gamecock Traditions has got you covered, literally. GamecockTraditions.com. We'll be right back.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
Ah, the summer solstice, when the ho-hum of the everyday is replaced by an overwhelming sense of freedom. A time for living, for rolling the windows down, cranking up the tunes, and blazing new trails. Now is your time. And Love Chevy is celebrating with incredible summer savings on the entire lineup of award-winning new Chevys. Unprecedented savings right now on the ride of your dreams. Love has them all, primed and fully equipped for your next adventure. And right now at the lowest prices of the year. The best prices anywhere, in fact. Love guarantees it. The others are still saying anything to lure you in and let you down. With the same old gimmicks and ridiculous add-ons. Love is different. Over 6 decades of honesty and integrity, and the long-standing belief that car buying should actually be a whole bunch of fun. Now is your time at Love Chevy, I-26 at Harbison, and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
Hey Gamecock Nation, my name is Kyle, longtime listener of the show and avid golfer. I wanted to take my game to the next level, but let's face it, golf is a hard game to learn on your own. I heard the ad from McKellar Enterprises and reached out to the owner and former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor. In just 2 months of working with Meredith, I shot my lowest round ever, and I've never felt more confident in my golf game. So if you're looking to take your game to the next level, go to McKellarEnterprises.org and book your lesson today with former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor. Go Gamecocks!
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting. Hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
It was a shutout last night in Pensacola, Florida. The top-seeded and second-ranked Mississippi State Bulldogs walked in to the cockpit, women's soccer's cockpit, and got destroyed 3-0. That's a lot in soccer. Gamecocks handed them their second loss of the year. Brianna Beam with 2 goals, the fifth-year senior for South Carolina. And they're on to the title on Sunday, 2:30. They've got the Texas Longhorns in the championship of the SEC tournament. It is Carolina's third appearance in the SEC title game in the last 6 years. So that is really neat. That game will be televised on the SEC network. So congratulations to Shelly and Jamie Smith. As they are going to go try to win a championship. Don't let those Longhorns in their first year in the league get out of here with a league title.
We got to welcome them to the league in the right way by sending them home with an L.
You get on out of here. Get on back to Texas.
Y'all won't.
See you in the postseason, but not in the SEC, and not on the top of the podium in the SEC tournament. So congratulations to them. What a huge win. They barely lost to Mississippi State like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And they remembered that. So big win for them last night. Also last night here in the Low Country down at Riley Park, it was a 12-11 final. College of Charleston holds on to beat South Carolina in an exhibition. It was it ended up being a beautiful night for baseball, a little muggy. It's November. For whatever reason, it feels like June, but outside of that, it wasn't raining. It was neat though. Personally, got to take my kids and take them down on the field, go see Coach Holbrook and Coach Maneri and Monty Lee and all those guys. It was about what I thought it would be. Neither team could take infield prior to the Charleston River Dogs, and their ground crew wouldn't allow them out there because they had, been kind of cleaning up the mess from all the raindrops throughout the day. So they could play on it that night. So nobody could take infield. South Carolina actually had to hit BP in Columbia. Golly, I don't understand why this keeps happening. I have lost my screen again.
Yeah.
We can hear you, though.
That's wild. Yeah.
I don't know.
He's frozen. He's like,
yeah. Take me off the screen. I'll be back in about 1 minute, but recap this. I don't know what keeps happening here.
I don't know. Weird stuff's happening. Let's see here. We'll get JB out of here. Yeah, we're having technical issues beyond our control this weekend, Matt. I don't know what's going on. Like even Twitter's not acting right. So what? Come on, Elon. Why is this not working?
Elon has something else he can focus on now. So maybe
I know. Yeah, right. Yeah, it was like now he's all in on finding himself a cabinet spot. And
I don't know if he wants the cabinet spot. If he's like king of space, he might do it. That'd be
king
pretty
of
cool.
Space.
Dude, he is the king of space. Like he's the only person in the world that's actually running a successful space program.
It's just kind of funny, right? Yeah, and putting rockets in orbit. He come a long way here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But I wish I could have gone to the baseball game last night in Charleston. I mean, to have 5,000 people out there on November 7th is just absolutely crazy. And I know that JB will fill us in. 12-11, a lot of hits, some home runs, and I think an inside the park home run there, JB, that happened for the Gamecocks as well.
Yeah. I mean, it was what I thought it would be. Just a strange night. First of all, both teams had guys playing out of position. Okay, couldn't take infield. Carolina hit BP in Columbia before they got on the bus and came down, which is basically like not hitting BP. College Charleston hit BP in Mount Pleasant, then drove across the bridge and to get prepared for the games. They couldn't hit in the cages. They're doing construction underneath Riley Park. So nobody was fresh early. You had guys working on pitches and different scenarios and position players out of position doing things. A lot of guys not in the lineup, but wanting to come in later and maybe get a pinch hit or something to see how they perform in this spot or that spot. All that said, once you get in a close game late in the game, you want to win it. And they're both certainly trying to win it. So there's just there's just so much coaching and analyzing and things that they're trying to. They put that in the book, and then in the off season they go through it. They come back to these things in the spring, and then they get ready to go. So there's really a lot of that. It's hard to see it from the stands, but that's really what they were doing. So, it was a neat night. A lot of my good buddies down there. So it was great to see, Blake Cooper and Will Crow and Craig Thomas, one of the best breaking balls I ever saw out of beautiful Lexington, South Carolina. Lots of fans. Appreciate so many of you that for whatever reason recognize me. That was neat. And we appreciate that. But most importantly, the hospitality from Coach Holbrook and Monty and Coach Maneri, letting my kids down there and hanging out and stuff like that. That was fun for us personally. So it was a beautiful night at the ballpark. College Charleston has a really good team. They're going to be good.
They were good last year. They should have made the tournament last year.
Yeah. No surprise.
Yeah, they're good. They're really, really good. And South Carolina is really deep and really, really talented. And I think that they're trying to figure out exactly who's going to be where and what and this, that, and the other. So when those two teams play at Seger Park in March, I'll be interested to see how they approach that Tuesday night game. Because you midweeks, obviously you're approaching this a little bit differently than you are the weekends. But now these guys have seen each other, and so we'll see what happens. That's still a ways away, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a hell of an atmosphere, $1 beer night and all that stuff. So people were running around, with 2-3 cups in their hand. That was pretty funny. I will say, I had quite an honor as spending some time with Miss Jen, Coach Holbrook's wife, who happened to be sitting next to somebody who I think he thought he was subtly going to ease into the ballpark and nobody would notice him. But I mentioned to him, I said, if you thought you were going to get in here without anybody knowing who you are, you probably shouldn't have been the only two people in here wearing powder blue. Head basketball coach Roy Williams was in the house last night, and that was neat to shake his hand and say hello. So all sorts of people were out there. It was good. Good night.
Yeah, I met Roy Williams at the Super Regional in Chapel Hill a couple years back. He was just as nice as he could be. Just stop him, take pictures of the Gamecock fans that were there because they all wanted a picture with Roy Williams for some reason, even though they're Gamecocks. But no, he's a really nice, really, really nice guy. They don't make him any better.
Super guy. All those guys. I mean, Coach Maneri couldn't have been kinder. And he's gonna win a lot of games at South Carolina. I can tell you that. So neat to see that. Neat to see the Gamecock. Carolina fans should be proud of Carolina baseball and the players signing every autograph. I felt bad for them. We walked down there to the bullpen for a little bit, and all the kids that run down that hill, and they signed and smiled and took pictures and the whole night during the game. Matter of fact, it got to be so much where they ended up kind of having to be like, hey man, we can't do this during the game. I got to get ready to pitch, but they accommodated hundreds and hundreds of kids down there. So typical of Gamecock baseball, as classy as it gets. It was a great night, and they're going to hopefully continue to do that. So congratulations to everybody. Congratulations to Coach Holbrook, our buddy. He'll pop on next week sometime as well. I think we'll have Monty next week somewhere as well. So
I hope the way that they're doing that with baseball can transition to basketball. I mean, Duke had that game with Arizona State that was actually featured on TV, and having that opportunity for fans to be in the building or in the stands. They really just need to keep doing this in all sports that they can. I know football will be tough, but what a fun night. I'm really jealous I wasn't there.
Yeah, if the Charleston River Dogs and the Columbia Fireflies and all these minor league parks, if they're smart, they'll all try to do this in the fall. If you really think about it, you don't have to compete with football. It's baseball. I mean, you can, but do a Thursday night, a Thirsty Thursday, Tuesday night where you've got $1 or $2 beers and $2 hot dogs or something. And hey, we've got Clemson and Coastal in a scrimmage, or we've got Clemson and Carolina aren't going to scrimmage in the fall, but we've got, South Carolina versus whoever, Coastal or Winthrop or North Carolina, whatever, if these minor league parks, they do it in the spring, they're shut down in the fall. They're looking for ways to increase revenue. Why not?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because they're too small to host, major music events and things of that sort. So, yeah, I mean, I know. I mean, you could just tell, even up here in the upstate, if Clemson and Upstate had put, a fall exhibition on, it would get at least a couple thousand people here.
Well, and the good thing,
got
too.
That last night.
Well, the good thing, too, with that, baseball is such a sport where you play a 3-game series and anybody can beat anybody, one of those 3. So it's not like you have the pressure that you have, like if Carolina were to go lose to Wofford in a football scrimmage, where the coach is probably going to get fired by South Carolina or an SEC team. But in baseball, it's just such a great way to continue to grow the sport. So kudos to them for figuring it out. JB, have you heard about this Clemson baseball versus the Savannah Bananas that's happening? How did that come together?
Yeah.
How did that come together?
Yeah. They, well, it's, I'm not a huge Savannah Bananas guy. Like it was really neat when it started. But then it, it's really gotten commercialized but now I will say this as an entrepreneur myself, I can't say that I wouldn't embrace the business model because they're bringing in so much money. They're printing money. So I actually thought it was a really good idea for Clemson. It's more of a fan thing. I'm not so sure that the team went out there and learned a lot about themselves last night, but I thought it was a neat deal. I mean, I think the place was sold out. I saw Sheldon Brown's son plays for Clemson, Dion. And I saw one of the videos, and he was one of the ones on the field doing the dance that they were doing with the bananas. It was pretty funny.
Oh yeah.
So it's a marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how the Bananas would have a team right now. Was my question, because all these kids play college ball somewhere. They just bring in guys for a night. That was what I was confused about.
Yeah. The Bananas is an organization. I mean, these guys are all they're all on the payroll. They're going everywhere. Boston, all over the place. So
it's a traveling roadshow. It's like the baseball equivalent of the Harlem Globetrotters.
That's right. There you go. That's what I was about to say. They're the Globetrotters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're the Globetrotters of baseball. I think they've done. The Globetrotters are always, really neat to see. So I don't know. Yeah. Good for them. But good for Clemson. You get a bunch of people in the ballpark, and it's the fall, so that's kind of what it is. It is 11:37. I tell you what, let's go ahead and step aside for one more quick timeout here. When we come back, we'll have enough time to be able to get through our high school slate this week. Not as many games as normal, but there are still games to be played. You got playoffs right around the corner of the teams that are actually eligible, and so on and so forth. So we'll tip our cap to those guys, and then we'll get into some hoops and back into Carolina football as we move along here. Inside the Gamecocks, the show built by the Barndo Co. We'll be right back.
Oh, man, the building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen.
When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
The electric grid that had been placed under Lambeau so that the field would never freeze.
Those two things are all the NCAA has. That's all they have. They're not worth anything without the men's basketball tournament and now the women's tournament.
Listen to these interviews and more on the JC and Morgan podcast by downloading the Chief Sports app. Part of the Chief Sports Network.
Welcome home. That's what the Gamecocks say, and so does nationally recognized the Barndominium Company, where they are building dream homes in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Tennessee. Their turnkey process can be custom designed and takes 6 months on average. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. Thebarndominiumco.com. Gamecock owned and operated.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cars while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, Freddie.
You bet.
Your love lifted me higher than I've ever been lifted before. So keep it up, quench my desire, and I'll be at your side forevermore. You know your love keep on lifting me higher, higher and higher. I said your love keep on lifting me higher.
It is 11:40. Welcome back inside the Gamecocks, the show built by the Barndo Co. and presented by our friends at Palm Casual. Tonight, back on the gridiron are the high school kids. And here is what that looks like, 67 games. And Matt, where can people find the scoreboard?
So don't be like me. Don't try and find it on Facebook, add in friends that you haven't talked to forever. Just go to the Chief Sports Network app. It's free. You'll be able to find every score for every high school football game. It gets updated. It's real time, and you'll know what's going on in the state every single Friday night leading up to the state championship. So make sure you head over to the Chief Sports Network app on your phone right now.
Absolutely. You got that right. And you can keep up with scores like these. Allendale Fairfax is probably about ready to get it over with. They're 0-9. They'll host Ridgeland tonight, who's 5-4. Same thing with Cardinal Newman, having a down year, no doubt. Maybe it's the loss of Perry Orth calling plays. Oh, just a thought. They're 2-8. They're in Hammond. Could be a long night. Hammond is undefeated again. Blackville Hilda is at Ridge Spring Monetta tonight. Blackville Hilda is 7-2 on the year. Good for them. Greer's 5-4, and they got Travelers Rest. Been a long year for Travelers Rest, just 1-7. Been a long year for Wade Hampton. They're 0-8. They've got to go to Riverside. Riverside is 4-4, looking to get above 500 tonight, and it looks like they got a good chance to do so. Strom Thurmond is having a great season, 6-2. Good for Strom Thurmond. But Batesburg Leesville's undefeated. They're 9-0, and they're going to come in tonight and try to put them back in their place. We'll see if Strom Thurmond can knock them off or not. That's a 7:30 kick. Wren is 6-2. They're at Emerald. Good luck to both those programs. How about the smaller schools here? Hilton Head Christian is 6-3. They're at Calhoun Academy, who is 8-2. PD Academy is 9-0. They got Spartanburg Christian Academy, who is 3-7. OP, Orangeburg Prep, guys. They're 5-5. Bethesda Academy is 7-3. That's at Bethesda this evening. Crescent and Walhalla, they're going to play tonight. 4-4 Crescent, 5-4 Walhalla. Southside Christian is 2-6. They're at Powdersville, who's having a good year. 6-3 Powdersville. How about that little old Powdersville, huh? JL Mann is 7-2. They're going to head to Woodmont tonight. White Knoll is at Chapin. Good little Midlands matchup there. Chapin is a game under. White Knoll's a game over. Chapin wins. They're both 5-5 for you Clemson fans that can't do simple math. Give that to you. Spring Valley is 0-9. They're at West Florence tonight. West Florence having a nice year, sitting there at 6-3. Ware Shoals will visit Whitmire. River Bluff is 7-2 at Lexington, who is 5-4. Broome at Woodruff. Heathwood Hall is at Porter-Gaud. How about Porter-Gaud, man? 9-1. Heathwood's going to make their way down I-26. Should be about a hour and 45-minute drive, but with traffic in this great state of South Carolina, they probably should have left yesterday. Berea is at Pickens tonight. Newberry is at Silver Bluff. Ben Lippen at Augusta Christian. St. James is 0-9. They're at Conway. Trinity Collegiate will visit Pinewood Prep tonight. Devontae Holloman and Pinewood Prep, they're 7-2 on the season. Greenwood hosts the Malden Mavericks. Greenwood, 7-2. The Fighting DJ Swearingers. Daniel is 8-1. Seneca is 8-1. That'll kick in Seneca tonight at 7:30. Going to be a good one. Fountain Inn is at Lawrence tonight. Lawrence just 1-8 on the year. Fountain Inn is at 5-4. First Baptist is 3-7, and they're out at Northside Christian Academy. Blue Ridge visits Pendleton. Southside visits Westside. That's the battle of the defeated and the undefeated. Southside, unfortunately, is pretty defeated. They're 0-9. Westside is undefeated at 8-0. Could be upside down there in a hurry. Patrick Henry Academy is at Williamsburg Academy. Newberry Academy is at Richard Wynn Academy. Goose Creek and Stratford, the battle for the creek. What side of the tracks are you from? They like each other. Goose Creek is 5-4. Stratford is 4-5. Carolina Academy, Beaufort Academy, they'll battle at Beaufort tonight. Bluffton hosts Hilton Head. Both teams having nice years. Bluffton 6-3, Hilton Head 7-2. Hillcrest and TL Hanna, they're both 7-2. They're going to play tonight as well. How about that, huh? Good little rivalry there. Union County and Mountain View Prep. They play at Union County this evening. Fairfield Central is at Mid-Carolina. Fairfield Central having a great year. Good for them. They're 8-1 on the season. Carlton Prep is at Dorchester Academy. Carlton Prep is 8-3. Dorchester Academy is 7-2. Lee Academy visits Thomas Hayward as well. Gray Collegiate. Woo! Yeah, not good. 0-9 because they cheated, I guess, by playing a player who shouldn't have been playing. The coach has already been suspended. The whole deal's upside down. They're going to go to North Augusta. Where's Craig? If you're in the chat box, Craig, we got your back. North Augusta, no matter what happens tonight, wins. Doesn't matter. They don't even have to beat them, Craig. They're still going to win the game because those Gray Collegiates are cheaters. They're cheaters.
Yeah.
Lawrence Manning is at Northwood Academy tonight. Good luck to Johnny Waters and his team. Greenwood Christian will host St. John's. Williston Elko is at Dixie, who's 7-2 on the year. By the way, North Augusta is 8-1. They're having a great year, by the way. Wardlaw is at Holly Hill. Abbeville 7-1. They're at McCormick. Good luck, McCormick. Getting close to the playoffs. Abbeville, not good. Bowling Springs is at Eastside tonight. Bowling Springs is 5-3. Easley and Greenville play. They're both 1-8. I guess somebody will
fell off. Like,
their season's done.
Yeah, somebody's going to win. North Myrtle is at Carolina Forest. Blacksburg visits Chesney. Saluda hosts the American Leadership Academy. Saluda. I love Saluda. Little old Saluda. Love Saluda. Love Saluda, North Carolina, and Saluda, South Carolina. This is obviously Saluda, South Carolina. They're 7-1 on the season. Christ Church visits St. Joe's Catholic. Carolina Academy is at Palmetto. Florence Christian is at Hilton Head Christian. Burns and Riverside to play tonight. 4-5 Burns. Riverside is 4-4. Myrtle Beach is 5-4. They're at Socastee, who's 4-5. There's 2 games here are probably going to be pretty good games. Excited to see what happens here. Berkeley is 5-4, and they're at Cane Bay tonight. Give me Berkeley in that one. I think they get the win. Clinton and Liberty will face off. Clinton's having a nice year. They're at 6-2. 7:30 kick tonight at Liberty High School. Kings Academy visits Jefferson Davis. I might have already said that. Cross is at Lawrence Academy. Don't worry, everybody. I know that there's some games I didn't mention, like Sumter, who's 9-0, and they are at Ridgeview tonight, who is 6-3. How about those Sumter Gamecocks, who have been very, very, very kind to the University of South Carolina? Lots of players over the years. Just so happens to be my favorite player, O'Donnell Fortune. Sumter,
OD.
Win it for OD. Go get them. You've also got another big one in the upstate tonight. Sorry, Phil, but these teams are actually good. Spartanburg is 7-1. Gaffney is 7-1. They're going to play at Gaffney tonight at 7:30. And then there's one more that we didn't mention, and I got a feeling it's got a chance to be pretty good. It is Irmo, and it is Dutch Fork in the Midlands. Irmo is 9-0. Dutch Fork is 8-0. It's going to be a dandy over there at Dutch Fork tonight. So, unfortunately, someone's going to have to lose. They both have a chance to win the state championship, but that is your high school slate. Some really, really good games tonight in high school football.
Yeah, that Irmo game, I might actually be trying to find a link on Facebook to watch it. They are a good team. They did really well in the 7-on-7 camp too over the summer, and they just had a lot of likable kids on their team. So I'll be pulling for Irmo tonight.
Yeah. They've had a nice coming. What do you want to call it? Resurgence, coming back party. Because for a while there,
Irmo, home of BJ Mackey as well.
Yeah, man. BJ's the best.
He is.
What a great guy. So good luck to all those guys as they play tonight, and then the playoffs will. I think playoff seedings come out tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, South Lawrence lost the region last week. Hartsville beat them.
I saw that. Where's old Bruin? Where's Bruin? Is Bruin? You and Bruin, are y'all crying into the same Cheerios, or everybody all right?
You know what? South's been on such a great run. Let somebody else win it for a year. We'll be back next year, competing for state again.
Yeah. You'll be fine. It'll all be good. By the way, for anybody, so Wando beat Beckham last week. They listed so I told everybody they win 100-0, right? Beckham did score 7 points, but the scoreboard it won't accommodate 3 digits. So they just it was 10-7 is what they listed the final as, but for everybody who's wondering, it was actually 100-7. The scoreboard only accommodates 2 digits.
Yeah, you'll have to check your Chief Sports app to confirm that one, JB.
Well, I'm just telling you that
that scoreboard doesn't work right either. So I mean,
nobody
was prepared for that.
Well, we felt bad. I mean, once it was 93, it was like, all right, look here. If they score again, just make it 10. So they did, and so we felt bad for the boys from Beckham. It's all good, man. It's all good. So that's sportsmanship is what it is.
I love it.
Yeah. I'm with you.
You got to be
taking a quick peek at the Nana Sports chat box here. Bruin asks if we found any monkeys. Yeah, that's pretty well.
They told you to lock your doors and close your windows, right? I mean,
there was a report today that said that they were close to getting them. They were trying to lure the monkeys out with food, and they were getting closer.
Well, just everything. Somebody turn an orange T-shirt, you'll get them. No, I hadn't found them. You see a bunch of you saying that y'all are going to come next weekend and hang out with us at TLC. Really appreciate that. Look forward to meeting many of you over there, and thank you so much for being Club Chief members. Really means a lot to us. This thing continues to get bigger and bigger. We will have plenty more. We've got some basketball events we're in the middle of working on here, all kinds of stuff down the road. Golf tournament. We got a bunch of stuff. Can't do any of it unless you're in the club. So we got a bunch of things down the road over the next few months and beyond. But baseball, we got all kinds of things that we're working on. So really look forward to seeing all of you, and we really appreciate it. Hope you should have gotten your invite. If not, that's on JC, and we'll beat them up for you. It should be in your email. All of you should have direct links to be able to get those tickets. We've sent them multiple times. Maybe check your spam, but we certainly have the orders coming in. So we appreciate all of you. Real quick before we slide back to a timeout here and then get to Derek Scott at the top of the noon hour. Elsewhere in the league this weekend, noon ABC, Gators, Longhorns, Austin, Texas. It's an 11 a.m. kick locally. Texas is a 22.5-point favorite. 3:30 ABC, the third-ranked Dogs. They're in Oxford. Georgia is a 2.5-point favorite there. We did pick that game yesterday. Mississippi State is at Tennessee. 7 o'clock on ESPN in Neyland. Vols 24.5-point favorites. Matt, you're a betting guy. Let me ask you about this real quick. We don't have Raphael. Want to get your thoughts. It's not Tennessee being a 24.5-point favorite. I get that. Mississippi State is struggling. But the Vols offense hasn't been the Vols offense since week 3. The total in this game is 61.5. Doesn't it seem like the under is just a grand slam?
Well, that's what Alex took on our show Tuesday night. I think it was actually 62.5 when he took it. Let me check my notes really quick. Yeah, unbelievable over under there. I think you got to take the under. Mississippi State can't really score anyway, and Tennessee's defense is pretty good. But look, somebody knows something we don't know. I mean, you saw the Missouri line too. That Missouri line was interesting.
Well, that's all because of the quarterback situation. It's got to be Missouri. I mean, Oklahoma's offense isn't any good either. But both of these teams, I'll be honest with you, you could flip flop their records, and I don't think that makes a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Missouri 6-2, 2-2, Oklahoma at 5-4, 1-4. I don't know that. Don't look at the record and think one team's better than the other or something like that. Is what I'm.
Well, that's what the AP poll decided to do. Just.
Listen, you can't take.
Well, that's fine.
Their name, you're going to get ranked.
But keep them there. It's fine. Keep them there. They got to come to town next week. I'd rather see a number than not.
Yeah.
And then of course Alabama and LSU will play at 7:30 tomorrow night.
That's
down on the Bayou. Should be. Yeah. LSU has only beaten the Tide at home twice in 15 years. So
you see the Miami Georgia Tech game also had a high over under 63.
Yeah, we're gonna come back to that.
Big. All right,
Phil and I hit on that yesterday.
Yeah.
We're gonna come back to that. Game day's got to have a piece on that thing tomorrow, based on what happened last year down in Coral Gables. So, all right, we're at the end of the hour here. We need to slide to a timeout. We had so much Carolina football coming your way, with the Commodores and Carolina kicking off tomorrow at 4:15 Eastern. But at the top of the noon hour, we will welcome for the first time this season the great Derek Scott back to our program. Talk some Carolina hoops with him. Maybe we'll mix in some baseball. Who knows? But Derek's one of our favorite people on the planet, and Carolina fans have no idea. Maybe they do. I don't know. I don't want to speak for anybody, but I'll just speak for myself. We're unbelievably blessed to have Derek Scott in the booth for both of those sports. So we're always blessed to have him, and he'll be here when we return on ITG.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Gary Patterson for your personal price plan today.
Touchdown Brewer. Set up a screen, and it goes to Brewer. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown Brewer, his second of the day. Pitches it to Brewer, turns the corner. Touchdown, number 3 of the afternoon.
Hey folks, it's Mike Morgan for Ryan Brewer Fence. That's right, you know the former Gamecock legend as a terrific college football player. Well, I know him as that too. I also know him as the guy that runs a great business, one of the best businesses in South Carolina. How do I know that? Well, for one, I'm actually a client of Ryan's. I had my home in Columbia done years ago, and his crew did an outstanding job, just as he does for everybody else. Whether you're in the market for a fence, railings, columns, or anything in between, their craftsmanship, their experience, and service second to none. Ryan Brewer Fence has over 15 years of experience with consultation and installation of residential and commercial fencing and railings. Rest assured your job will be done with an unparalleled level of expertise, and it's done on time, and they do it right the first time. Again, you're not going to do any better than Ryan Brewer. Ryan Brewer Fence. The website is ryanbrewer.net. Set up an appointment today. Tell them Mike sent you.
I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Disaster comes uninformed. During and after natural disasters or accidents, there can be a heavy loss to property. It can become extremely difficult to bounce back to what you knew before. Having your home or office destroyed or damaged by water, fire, smoke, or mold affects your personal and business lifestyle. Resto Pros of the Midlands is here to help. Open 24/7. Call them when you need them. 803-493-0170. Resto Pros of the Midlands. RestoProsMidlandsSC.com.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Gary Patterson for your personal price plan today.
It is hour 2 and it is Friday. Welcome back inside the Gamecocks, the show brought to you by our friends at Gamecock Traditions and the Barn Dough Co. Make sure you head to Gamecock Traditions, the Village at Sandhill, or in Lexington before you stop into Colonial Life Arena tonight to cheer on Carolina basketball. If you need some new hoops gear, they've got it. It is the largest Under Armour dealer in the state. Gamecock Traditions, we are proud to partner with our friends there. And we are always proud to have the great voice of Carolina basketball and Carolina baseball, Derek Scott, on our program. Derek, I mentioned at the top of the show, November through June, we get to hear Derek Scott again. It's been too many months without you talking in a radio near me. So we've got you back, and we're always glad to have you, brother.
I'm like a bear coming out of hibernation, man. And if you see my waistline right now, you would not disagree with it.
Do you ever do like a singer? Do you do voice control, like la 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 la?
I read a lot, and I will honestly, this sounds idiotic, but I will do a lot of reading out loud just for that purpose, and try to get back into the routine, because I'll just be honest, when I'm not in season, I'm just me, which means I don't, I kind of revert back into old Derek, which is, pretty twangy. and very slangy as well. And I often work a little blue. So yeah, I have to get all of that out of my system when the headset goes on. So yes, that time.
So you and Casey aren't doing any tongue twisters before you go live on air, practicing with each other?
If we are, it's only because Casey is just messing with people and trying to see how uncomfortable he can make folks that don't know him. You never know what direction he's going in that regard. But yeah, I mean, it's that time of year again for people that walk up to press row and be asked whether they're left-handed, what their middle name is, and what county they're from. The tradition, unlike any other, that takes place at Williams, at Colonial Life Arena. So yeah, it's time.
Well, you can't be more twangy than your baseball partner Stuart Lake, but he'll be back in February. We'll worry about that then. Well, man, it sure is good to see you. Really good to see you, and so good to be able to cut the radio on and hear you. You know how I do it in my house. It's the TV's on and Derek's on. Drives my wife nuts. It's not personal. She
no, I get it.
She's like, what are you doing?
Just remind her that you drive her nuts on a lot of subjects, so I'm not going to be the one to blame for all of this.
You're right. No. You're right. You're exactly right about that. It's my own doing here. Well, look, Carolina's back on the floor tonight. Good thing, because they didn't get off to the hottest of starts against North Florida, but they got South Carolina State coming in. Didn't they barely beat them last year, the year before? Wasn't it only a 2 or 3 point win?
2 years ago we beat them. It was more than that. It was a pretty comfortable win, but also, I mean, that was when Coach Martin had just gotten there and he did not have much of a chance. If you remember, he got hired like in July. I mean, they really, really put themselves in a untenable situation for his first season. And then he made great strides with that program last year, got them in the top half of the MEAC for the first time in forever. And he brings back a bunch of those guys. So, no, I think this is a good test, as was obviously Monday. So it's one of those deals where when people look at the names on the schedule, they assume, well, these will all be easy. And then if you dig a little deeper, you figure out that you better come ready to play. You can get burned, and we were burned on Monday. And I'm real curious to see if guys have learned from that and have a little more focus tonight, ready to go. And then also, the one thing about Monday that is noteworthy, that sounds like making excuses, but that's a unique offense to prepare for, especially in game one of the season. And I think the staff has probably kicked themselves a little bit for scheduling North Florida in game one, not for scheduling North Florida, but for scheduling them in game one. That was not a great place to throw the guys out the first time in terms of the amount of switching you have to do on defense and the mismatches that Coach Driscoll will create for his team. And they took advantage of some things there that that really created an opportunity for them to sneak in a win late.
A couple things working,
and don't look now, but North Florida played Charleston Southern the next game, blew Charleston Southern out, and we saw them what the Gamecocks did against Charleston Southern last year. North Florida won that game 90-66. And they got a big one come up against Georgia Tech on Sunday too. So all Gamecock fans are now North Florida fans the rest of the year. So as your tag says, it's only one game.
Well, in Lamont, Coach Paris is able to run under a little bit of cover too, because Gamecock football had a huge win over A&M. So there's some fans who are like, well, they better get it together, but we'll worry about that after,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So, but I will say this, that makes it, men's basketball has always, in my opinion, had the biggest hill to climb with our fan base, because when football's rolling, there's a lot of folks who don't even know you're playing until after the bowl game. That's exaggeration, that's hyperbole, but there's some truth to it. And when you consider the machine that Don Staley has created on the women's basketball side, and the huge, very loyal fan base that she has developed there, and the tradition of Gamecock baseball being what it is, men's hoops, I think, in my time here, has always had the steepest hill to climb for respect and credibility nationally, but also consistent support locally. And it's just there's a number of reasons for that. But as much fun as last year was, and as excited as I think people were for Coach Paris and that team, it doesn't take long for them to to move into a different focus area if you struggle, and losing the opener is kind of the worst case scenario for that. So they really need a strong bounce back these next couple of games to show folks that we're good. It may not have looked like it in the opener, and that's the one thing that was really frustrating to me, is saying I know how well this team played in its scrimmage against a power conference team. And nobody else gets to see that. And you can't even report the score. And what they've seen is instead the loss to North Florida, and that's what they will judge it on. And so you need to try and erase that and really come out tonight and be a more focused team, a more aggressive team, a team that gets to more loose balls and just wins those battles.
Yeah, I think you hit on it right there. This team is good. And we talked to coach before the season, and you could feel the confidence. He knows, and he's trying to figure out who's who and who's gonna be where, what rotation is gonna do this and who's gonna do that. I'm not looking back at that game and having Derek Scott on here for 20 minutes to talk about what went wrong in game one of this. They'll figure that out. And I think they're gonna win a ton of basketball games. But I think that's where this is a unique situation, Derek. It at least is. I mean, I'm trying to go back 30 years here. This is the most comfortable I've felt personally, losing the season opener and going, they're going to be fine. Usually, if you lose one or two early, you do get that kind of that, oh man, this might be a long year. I don't sense any of that at all. I think these guys are very good. And hearing him talk the other night, it was like, we got what we deserved. We're going to need to have a little bit more effort out here. We're going to need to kind of play ball, and we'll be fine. Is that what you got from it too?
Yeah, and like I said, a couple things he said to me off the air before we got the post-game interview going were in reference to the scheduling side of this and questioning, we may not have put our guys in the best situation. Still should have won, still should have played better, still should have seen better intensity from the guys who have been down this path before. And not have to say, if somebody's going to take a team lightly and not respect an opponent's name, you'd expect that more out of the young guys than the old guys.
Right.
But I get the impression maybe he was a little more concerned by the preparation and effort level and focus of maybe the guys with the most experience under their belt. So we'll see how those guys respond to it.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing, and Matt, I think we talked about this last week. If there's one thing I'm curious on, and it hasn't been great early, either against the College of Worcester or certainly against North Florida the other day, I'm anxious to see what they do at the free throw line, because it's been
bad. It's just, let's just say it. It's been bad the first two games.
Yeah.
I mean, you had that huge advantage in attempts again the first half against North Florida. The reason you're only ahead at the half by what you are, which was 5 points, is because in the first half at the line you were 7 of 14.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you go to the locker room with an 8-point lead, you get an early spurt in the second half, you get that thing to double figures. It's kind of a different story. It could be, at least.
How is Jamari Thomas different from Talon Cooper?
In a million different ways. Personality wise, they're different. He is much more athletic and quicker, but he also doesn't have Talon's size, and he doesn't have his at least it's early. I haven't seen nearly enough of him to pass judgment, but I don't see him having that same ability necessarily to control the pace of play. And that it felt like Talon played with the orchestra conductor's wand in his hand. He pretty much was the guy who was running the show. And think about how good he was at getting baskets late, really late in the shot clock, because he never panicked. And he was long enough that he could get shots over other guards late in the shot clock. that's not the way Jamari's going to have to approach things. I really liked his second half, though, on Monday night. He was one of the veterans who struggled in the exhibition and struggled, I thought, in the first half. But out in the second half, he really picked up what he did. And he will be – his defensive abilities are different in that he can still impact the game as much as Talon did. But Talon just developed into a really good shut-down perimeter defender by being very solid in the fundamentals. And I think Jamari's going to be much more about being a pest, harassing you, getting his hands in passing lanes. He's not tall, but he's got wingspan that kind of doesn't fit his body. So he can do some things in that regard and create some deflections and steals. And that's where I think at that end of the court, the difference lies.
This is an old basketball team. These kids have played a lot. I mean, Cam Scott's young. Believe it or not, Colin Murray Boyles is young too, but he did play the entire first year. But, the rest of these guys, for the most part, have played a ton of basketball, maybe minus a guy like Arden Conyers. One of those guys is Jacoby, who I love Jacoby Wright for two reasons. Derek, number one, I think he's a good basketball player. But number two, he came to South Carolina and he stayed at South Carolina. And he's had wonderful moments. He's won games here, last second shots and things like that. But he has grown into I feel like I don't want to say a quiet face. I don't even know if that makes sense, but you know what I mean? Like there's Jacoby. Jacoby's always there. He was 6 of 8 from the floor last week.
Yeah.
But he didn't start. Do you think he will start? Do you think coach is maybe going to look at maybe adjusting things? I know he likes him off the bench. He's been that guy for a while. He's comfortable there, but maybe it's also his time. What do you think about that?
No, I really do like him in that sixth man role because, I mean, he has proven that he accepts that and it doesn't impact him at all. And not all players can say that. There's some guys that need to, mentally feel like they are part of the starting five. And it always felt like Michi was that way. Michi was not going to respond well to a different role. He had to feel like he was out front with that. And, Jacoby just gives you so much in that role. When you have someone that when you make that, if you don't get off to a good start and you get that burst coming out of the break, I mean, he and Cam Scott, that's a heck of a combo.
Yeah.
Come in at your first media timeout and give you a different look. But I mean, everything will be dictated by performance. So I don't for a moment think that this staff won't evaluate it from every imaginable angle. If you're putting him in the lineup, I guess you're taking Jamari out of the lineup. What we can't know is all of the reps they've taken in practice throughout the preseason, what those tell the coaches, as opposed to the 40 minutes of play that we saw Monday night and, the 40 minutes in the exhibition the previous week. So, no, I think right now the lineup is what it is, but I might text you in a couple hours at shoot around and say, okay, I was completely wrong. Clean this up before you get off the air.
On that note too, I mean, I
won't break the news.
I think Jacoby's going to play top 5 minutes on the team, whether he starts or he comes off the bench. He had the third most minutes. He's such a stabilizing force. And to your point earlier about Talon, Derek, I can see Jacoby having that kind of role that Talon had as the games go on to get into crunch time, a steadying force. He knows the offense inside out, knows exactly what Lamont Paris wants the Gamecocks to be in different sets. And I could see him having that kind of season, honestly, whether he starts or doesn't. I think that's the Talon replacement. Is Jacoby.
And I'll say the thing with Jacoby is that can be a little challenging is, he's not as athletically gifted as, Jamari, not as big as Talon was. He's one of those guys. Sometimes you have to remember, he's old and smart. And so he can absolutely get this time of year. It becomes harder against SEC competition for him to be able to score the basketball without being set up by other guys who are on the court. He can't just go get it off the bounce as easily. And he knows, but I think the thing about that is he knows that. I mean, the best players are the ones that know what their strengths are, but also recognize what their weaknesses are and don't try and put themselves into positions to succeed where it's unlikely that they will. And the older you get, the more likely it is that you understand that. And I think he has a full recognition of who he is as a player.
I hate overanalyzing, especially one game or box scores or things like that. I would say outside of the free throws, though, I had to go back and look at the box score to remind myself that I really wasn't being fooled. Nick Pringle only had 2 field goal attempts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's got to be something that Lamont's going, hey, we got to get him the ball, and he's got to put the ball in the net. I mean, that's what he was brought in to do, right?
Think about this, though, JB. They employed the hack-a-shack strategy. When he caught it, he got a lot of touches early, and they fouled him immediately and said, prove it to us. You're a career 55% free throw shooter. And he didn't. He missed a bunch of free throws early in that game. I mean, he finishes 3 of 8. I'm not sure any of those were 1-on-1, but I kind of feel like maybe there was 1 or 2, but maybe not. Maybe it was just, 4 trips to the line. You only get 3 out of the 8 to fall. They were not going to allow him to really work much. But the other side of that is, you got to remember, in his previous existence at Alabama, their bigs do not get post touches. Their bigs score off of rim runs and lobs. And that was when he committed here, I thought to myself, then I said, this is going to be interesting because this is a completely different offense. How does he fit in here? Can he develop? Does he have a low post game that they just never asked him to use in Tuscaloosa because they don't believe in playing that way? For them, it's layups, dunks, and threes, and that's it. Yep. You shoot a 12-footer there, and you're going to the bench. And so, does he have that, as part of his repertoire? And that's what we've got to find out because, you better believe SC State. They play like 15 dudes. They're going to do the same thing tonight. If he catches it, if he works hard and gets good position and catches it close to the rim, he's getting fouled. I have to imagine that's not going away anytime soon. So he's got to find a way to convert something there, whether it's, as you said, finish the baskets or makes up more of the free throws.
Derek, one of the questions that I have for you is, and we're not going to analyze the box score to death, but Colin Murray Boyles had 16 shot attempts in the game. I don't think any Gamecock fan or coach is upset about him attempting 16 shots. He very well could have had a 30-point game if some of those bunnies earlier in the game had actually gone down for him. Maybe it was just a little bit of nerves, first game, whatever, off for whatever reason. But looking at that, I don't think the game plan was for Zach Davis to lead the team in 3-point attempts. I don't think that's really what Lamont Paris was looking for. And I do think that some of these other guys probably need to get double-digit shot attempts up, and not just having one player kind of dominate it. So when I look at this team, I think that Miles Studi is a proven SEC player. I would love to see him get 6 threes up a game. He's shown he can hit it at that clip. Jacoby Wright can hit the 3. Cam Scott, he's going to be coming into age, throughout the season. But I've seen him shoot before, and when he gets hot, he gets hot. But just looking at it, Jamari Thomas is the X factor that you probably know way more than I do about him and his role with the Gamecocks. Would you consider him a 3-point threat for the Gamecocks right now?
Yeah, he is. He doesn't look for it as much there. But it's not like if he decides, if they leave him alone, if they play off and dare him to shoot, I'm not going to be bothered by him shooting. Zach's a guy who's, either Zach's got to heat up or Zach's got to change, because that's the exhibition and the regular season now, 2 games now, where he has taken more threes than anybody and hasn't been particularly close. And we've seen spurts of this from him in the past. He's now, I think last year made 25% of his threes. So they're not going to challenge there. What makes him an SEC caliber player is athleticism and what he can do at the defensive end and his play as a slasher. And I know how hard he worked in the offseason to improve himself as a 3-point shooter. And he wants to show that he can do that now. But unfortunately, the leash cannot be that long. If you don't make them against Worcester and North Florida, you don't get to keep taking them at that rate. And so, yeah, I think that's something he's either got to, if he's going to take 5 a game, he's got to make 3, or he needs to, think differently about his approach. And those looks need to be, probably finding other hands.
Some good takeaways. There were still 15 assists in the game. That's a blueprint of Lamont Paris' offense.
Yeah,
they move the ball, they share. That's a silver lining.
Absolutely. I know. I mean, that's the thing. It wasn't, oh, what was me? You trailed for three minutes and 31 seconds in the whole game. It was just the wrong 3:31.
Yeah.
And that again, as I typed it in when I was signing on, it's only one game, but it's until we get through game 2.
Yeah, it's all we have to talk about.
To convince everybody of your theory on that. I'm
Derek, you've done so many. You've done so many games in your career. When a game gets to under 3 minutes, it's kind of nip and tuck back and forth. The game seems to tighten up. When a kid banks in a 3-pointer to take a lead, that's kind of when you just look at maybe Casey next to you and say, might not be our night for these last 3 minutes. I mean,
well, and the other thing about it was, give Matt Driscoll all the credit in the world. He used his timeouts to quiet the crowd. Every time you got momentum, he was going to shut it down. And he was going to, he has an old staff. His staff's been with him forever. So he trusts them to go run the huddle. And he would go work on Olandis Poole or Anthony Jordan the first half of every one of those timeouts. Because let's face it, we got a very good whistle the first 30 minutes of the game. And then the last probably 5 to 7 minutes of the game, it felt like we were the road team all of a sudden. And they had, I hate to say it, but they earned it. They played so hard and they did not go away that the officials started thinking, let's not think about who's signing the check for this one a little bit. And so between, like you said, between the banked in 3 and the fact that suddenly, there was a lot of contact being allowed that was getting called in the first, 30 minutes of the game, it did snowball. And you're right. You could see it. You could see it snowballing. And that's when you started. It wasn't like in the last 10 seconds, I was like, oh my gosh, we're actually going to lose. It kind of felt in the last minute of the game, like, I think we're going to get got here a little bit. So,
well, with that said, Derek, and we'll get you out of here in just a second. I guess too, I think a lot of people have enough faith in this basketball team, the talent, the staff, all the things. This is a good. He's got this thing in a good spot. They're good, and there have been years around here, you've called them, where you look at what's ahead on the schedule. When you lose a game like this, it's always going to hurt your resume. There's no doubt, but there just wasn't maybe enough down the road where you could get it back. That's not the case this year.
Yeah,
they've got opportunity. I mean, I wouldn't say that it is the most challenging non-conference slate in the country. Kentucky and Kansas can play those all they want. South Carolina, though, has a challenging non-conference schedule with road trips and neutral site and home games and ACC, SEC, all that type stuff, right? And then, of course, we know what the SEC is. So when you get a loss like this, or maybe a second loss down the road, Q3, Q4, whatever it is, they're good enough to beat all these teams too. So I don't see this as one of those years where it's really going to be the center of attention in late March, because I think they're good enough to overcome that with the slate that they've got to play.
Yeah. I mean, this league this year, if it's not the number one league in college basketball in terms of how that stuff gets viewed by Ken Pom and all those numbers, if it's not number one, it'll be number 2, I really think. If it's not, it'll be a shocking bad year, because I mean, right, you saw where everybody had the preseason top 25. Either we had 7 or we had 8. So you're looking at a third of the top 25 all coming from this conference. Right. If you're playing that schedule in the conference portion of the year, then that's going to build up. That's a ton of quad 1 opportunities you're going to get. And if you get enough Q1 and Q2 wins, you can dismiss one stinker, especially if it happens, early enough in November that you can barely remember it when you get down to March. So
don't forget the SEC championship run. Those guys lost 2 out of conference games, strung off like 15 in a row in conference, won the SEC. Yeah.
Charleston Southern, they lost to Charleston Southern that year early in the season. They were like 6-4 or something to start the season. It was, I don't know. Carolina's the only team that loses to teams like this, Derek. I think you just throw in the towel. We watched Holbrook last night, beat them. The baseball's over, basketball's over. The hell with it,
Hey, let me tell you, I made this comment last night. I was at Seawells for the American Legion Baseball Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Got to induct my wonderful friend Tommy Moody, and I told the crowd, the place was full. I mean, it was full, big room, full. And I told him, "Is there a better baseball state in America? It is November 7th." And down in Charleston, the college is playing the Gamecocks, and I'm guessing you guys had a great crowd there.
Over 5,000, Derek.
How about that? And up in Clemson, they're playing the Savannah Bananas, and that place is full. And here in Columbia, we have still managed to fill up a huge banquet room for an event that is recognizing the history of the game in the state. That. I don't think there's another state in the country who could claim 3 items like that on November 7th for baseball. It's amazing.
100%.
And I don't know how much of a good time you had where you were, but I can tell you my evening was awesome. And, Mookie Wilson was the final inductee, and his message was just so much fun. Bill Spires, just great. Some of the early folks who I didn't know them as well, that their stories were amazing. And then obviously I was there with Tommy's family and got to share a table with Bobby Richardson. And, it was a pretty special event. Hats off to the folks who put that together. I guess I would just say to steal Shane's line, find some joy. Don't let yourself get dragged down by one game. Okay.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, I was there last night. I take nothing from fall scrimmages because I know what they're doing. They're working on this, that, and the other. But I just kept looking. I was talking to Coach Maneri and Monty down on the field before the game, and I mentioned to Coach. I said, in this neat. I mean, just look, man. And he said, talk very, very kindly, except for I guess if he's yelling at you. But he said, this is an amazing place. This is a wonderful baseball state. Tell me how much he loves it here. And the parallels to Louisiana, just from, like you just said, loving this game. You're right. That's why I love the state of South Carolina, and baseball here is second to none. It is a baseball state, and it always will be. And you're part of that. So we owe you a lot too. You make our moments pretty enjoyable when they're good, and you keep us from jumping off bridges when they're bad.
Well, I do what I can, but we will. Everybody tune in tonight, 6:30. We'll try and keep you off the bridge.
I love it.
Hey, thank you, man. I can't wait to see you soon. I'll be up next Friday, so I'll have to get with you. Coach Lake. I was trying to get with Coach Lake. I'd love to see you.
Next Friday, I will be on my way to Bloomington, Indiana, my friend.
Oh, shoot. That's right. Yeah. 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock Saturday, Bloomington, Indiana. All right. Well, we'll figure it out. Thanks,
right,
Derek.
guys. Take care. See you.
There you go, man. The amazing voice of Gamecock basketball and Gamecock baseball, Derek Scott. It's 12:30. We will step aside and step back onto the gridiron when we return.
We got started in 1979. Because we're a manufacturer, we're able to control our costs. That's why we like to manufacture as much of the product as we can, because in our factory stores we can offer a competitive edge over other people around the country. When people come into one of our Palm Casuals, it's like they're buying their car at Detroit. They're going right to the factory and buying their car.
30-day money-back guarantee. That's a big deal with us. I mean, we give 30 days to do anything. I mean, return it, change it, get a different color, get your money back.
When you pull into a store and it says Palm Casual, you know you're at a factory store.
Charleston Fitness Equipment is keeping South Carolina in shape. Clients have come from all over the Palmetto State to find that one piece of equipment that they enjoy that keeps them looking and feeling good. Whether it's a home rower, treadmill, elliptical, free weights, a home gym, or something else, Charleston Fitness Equipment keeps the mirror smiling back at you. Get in shape like the Gamecocks do. Visit charlestonfitnessequipment.com. Gamecock owned and operated and proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
What Right to Bear is we're an association of members across the entire country, and what we offer is we offer legal defense in the event of a self-defense case.
Nice.
So it's not insurance. So we offer an attorney in the event that one of our members might have some type of an accident. ProtectWithBear.com. We've got all of our social media accounts on the bottom of our website. We've got blogs, articles, detailed description of all of the coverages in depth, and we'd love to have you come check us out and ultimately get the protection you need.
Hi, I'm Joel Lurie. If you're turning 65 this year or retiring soon, you probably have questions about Medicare. How do I enroll in Medicare? When do I need to enroll? And what plan fits my needs and budget?
Why use an out-of-state call center when you can work with a local agency?
At Lurie Life and Health, we'll research your doctors and prescription drugs, and we'll help you find the plan that meets your needs and budget.
Lurie Life and Health. Our service is at no cost. Call Lurie Life and Health in Columbia, 803-256-2067.
This is Lenore Sullivan from Gamecock Football, and you listen to the show with JC, JB, and Phil.
It is 12:34. Welcome back inside the Gamecocks, the show built by the Barndo Co. Mad Dog is stepping back to do some work. We've got it. We can handle it. Matt and I will get you to 1 o'clock, and Michael Flint will be here. And we do have a special guest joining us at 1:30 today. We're going to put him in his place, but I can't say who it is in case he's paying attention. He doesn't even have any idea. He's probably not paying attention. Real quick here. Just a quick peek at the sports schedule, and then Matt, we're going to dip back into Gamecock football. Tonight, there's just a wonderful college basketball game. If you like college basketball, you want to be tuned into ESPN2 at 7 o'clock. The North Carolina Tar Heels are in Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, Kansas, to take on the Jayhawks. And I just read a minute ago that this is North Carolina's first trip to Allen Fieldhouse since 1960. That is hard to believe, but that's going to be a neat one tonight. So if you want to watch those guys play, you can at 7 o'clock. Obviously, South Carolina plays tonight, and we encourage all of you to listen to Derek Scott or watch the game on ESPN Plus. Maybe watch that one and listen to Derek and Casey call this one. 18.5-point favorites are the Gamecocks over the South Carolina State Bulldogs. And the airtime for that is 6:30. Not to be forgotten, the national champions are playing on Sunday. If you haven't checked the schedule yet and you're looking for something to do on Sunday, how about ladies all day at the same time? You got NC State, South Carolina, top 10 women's basketball matchup, ESPN, Charlotte, in the Spectrum Center. At the same time, you've got the women's soccer team battling Texas for the SEC crown. So let's have a perfect weekend, Matt. The basketball team wins tonight. The football team wins tomorrow. The ladies take care of business on Sunday. We all wake up happy on Monday, and our lives here are much easier.
Hey, sign me up for that. That would be fantastic. I think that someone posted on the Big Spur the other day. They talked about like the last time that the Panthers won, Clemson lost, and the Gamecocks won in the same weekend. And it had been since like 2017. It's kind of crazy.
Never.
Yeah, never ever.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it's a jam-packed sports week. I mean, this is my favorite time of the year when college football is almost winding down, but also picking up, because now you have all the storylines of who's going to win the Heisman, who's going to win each conference championship, a 12-team playoff. Come on, sign me up for that. Mm-hmm. And then you have basketball, especially, Carolina. It just gets more and more exciting every year. So pumped. Baseball will be here before you know it too.
I know. I'm fired up for that. By the way, on the women's hoops side too, we got this email a little bit later on yesterday, in case you haven't heard the news. The Wooden top 50 watch list for the best basketball player in women's basketball does include Malaysia Fulwiley and Tahina Paopao. for South Carolina. So we'll monitor that. Names can be added, and I got a feeling that there will be a name or two added as the season goes along from Gamecock basketball. Gamecock baseball or Gamecock. Well, that was last night. Gamecock baseball was last night. Gamecock football is tomorrow. So, Matt, I still kind of wildly find it interesting that these two teams here are a combined 11-6 and 6-5 in league play, and it should be better. Obviously, Carolina would argue that they should be 7-1 on the season. Vanderbilt might argue they should be 7-2, that maybe they could have upended Texas. Well, actually, here's the thing. That's something that is actually really, it's where I was going anyways, but I'll say it differently. It's really interesting about this game, right? So what happened in Tuscaloosa, and then what happened in Williams-Brice against LSU, and then you look at Vandy and you go, all right, well, they're 6-3. Keep in mind, while they did lose to Georgia State, and that was like, how did that happen? They lost on the road at Mizzou by just 3, and they lost at home to Texas by just 3. So you're talking about 3 losses by a combined 10 points. South Carolina has 2 top 10 losses by a combined 5 points. So these two teams are battle-tested. They've been through it. They've been heartbroken, but they've had some huge victories and some big moments. These are two teams that are kind of mirror images of each other coming into the game. I'm not talking about in style of play, but I'm talking about in what the script has been for their seasons thus far.
Yeah, and this, in my mind, JB, if you want to talk about Shane Beamer's tenure at South Carolina, he doesn't lose a lot of games where he has more talent. And in this case, I think South Carolina is the more talented 1-85 football team that's going to take the field on Saturday. Shane has lost some of those heartbreakers. LSU, Alabama, they clearly have more talent 1-85 than South Carolina does. So when I think about this game and the storylines, I mean, this is just a way to continue to go into the stratosphere for South Carolina. And look, you're playing a ranked Vanderbilt team and you're not ranked. I mean, all kinds of storylines that are out there. And then, do you get into the top 25 if you win? Do you not? Then you play Missouri. I mean, I think it just sets up for a magical end to the season for Gamecock fans. And this particular game, I just think as long as they don't beat themselves and it's turnovers. And look, football's not hard. Don't turn the ball over and have good field position every chance you get. If you do that, you're more than likely going to win. And South Carolina's been doing that the last 2-3 games. Yeah,
I would agree with that. Obviously, from a personnel perspective, Diego Pavia has been the story for Vanderbilt, but this Carolina defense is exceptional. Dual threat quarterbacks no longer seem to be the threat that they once were, and I think that is a great neutralizer in the ballgame this weekend, which, by the way, has been bet again in the Gamecocks' favor. They're now 5.5-point favorites.
I kind of thought it would be around there. I could see the Gamecocks even get up to a touchdown lead, a touchdown favorite, because the books have disrespected Vanderbilt the entire season. I mean, all season long. I mean, how much money could you probably made on Vanderbilt this year against the spread? I mean, you pick them every time they're on the Fab 5 or Fab 4.
Yeah. I meant to do that this morning. Here, let me pull up my handy dandy notebook here. The Vanderbilt this year against the spread is, well, I don't know what they are. I don't know why this isn't showing me.
No, it's not a big deal. I mean, if you look at the rest of Vanderbilt's schedule too.
Oh, there it is. Sorry.
Do you have Vanderbilt's rest of the season schedule?
Yeah. After this, they've got LSU and Tennessee. Got an off week finally. Vandy is 2, 4, 5, 7-2, 7. No, that can't be right.
Yeah, they played 9 games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. They're 7-2 against the spread.
Yeah. So I mean, it'd be hard for me to say that Gamecocks are going to blow Vanderbilt out knowing that number. I really just wonder, the kill zone, everyone talks about, JC loves to talk about it, but at some point, no matter how funky, tricky, smart your offense is, SEC coaches are going to figure out ways to stop it. And maybe at this point of the season where you've seen Diego's numbers kind of go down, I don't know if it's the book's out on him. I don't know if he's banged up or hurt, but the trajectory right now is not good for him coming to a game against South Carolina's defense. So I think if the defense just takes care of business, I don't know if you're going to see another 530 yards of offense like you saw against Texas A&M. I mean, there were so many big plays that broke off in that game for the Gamecocks to get them there. But I mean, I think it's probably going to be like a 27-20 type game. And
I don't know, man. Look, does this sound crazy? And Charles is right. I just checked it too. That must have changed in the last 10 minutes because I've had the numbers up, but it's now up to 6.5. Matt, I don't know if Vanderbilt can score 20 points against this defense. I mean, they can. I'm not saying they can't. That's not what I'm just saying. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm being overly dramatic in my support of how talented I think that they are. I really think that this has a chance to be one of those Saturdays where it's like, dude, if you just don't do anything silly, you're going to cakewalk out of the ballpark. I never say things like that.
I've felt that way on and off throughout the week, and that line creeping up and the way Vanderbilt plays close games. I mean, look, we can talk about that Texas game, and the final, they lost by 3 points.
It's true. They don't get blown out.
They don't get blown out, but they also needed an onside kick. They needed some crazy things to happen at the end of that game to make it look as close as it was. Who knows what's going to happen as far as, is Vanderbilt going to have big plays? One of the craziest stats, and you probably know this, JB, but I mentioned it on our show Tuesday. Diego has thrown for exactly 143 yards 3 consecutive games. That's or 147. It's either 147 or 143, but the exact same passing yards per game. If that happens, if he throws for under 150, Gamecocks are probably going to walk out there with a big win like you're talking about.
Yeah, well, 3 of the last 4, the Ball State game was in the middle there, but you're talking about an SEC game.
SEC games, yeah, my bad.
That's
crazy.
Yeah, I know. Well, and he does, he early in the year, it's like if you just glance at numbers and you look at it and you go, okay, well, he completes 62% of his passes, which is actually better than Lenore Sellers, et cetera, et cetera. Alabama and Kentucky, he was scorching hot. Outside of that, mostly in the SEC, he's not, and lately too, he's only completing about 48% of his passes or something like that. But a lot of them are big throws, and that's what makes him dangerous. Like, it's not like they're just dropping him back and he's just slinging it all over the place and he just can't get – like, a lot of them are cruise 3rd and 7. He scrambles, uses his legs. Damn, he hits a guy in the first down, drive extended. And that's, like, I think that's the key to this whole thing here. Like, we could go back and forth with numbers and whatever, but where he's making those numbers count. And that's what's been hurting guys. Vice versa, though, South Carolina has been really, really good when it comes to, especially lately, some of these bigger moments, needing a 3rd down stop. We saw it twice last week. We saw 4th down stops last week.
4th and 1 from the goal line. I mean, it's those big moments the defense shows out every time almost.
I agree, man. I agree. And, I don't think – I know who they've played this year. And respectfully, looking at the schedule, Texas, I do believe is one of the top couple of defenses in college football. Certainly, Alabama is a talented group or whatever. Kentucky, we know what type of defense Kentucky plays. Very keep it in front of you, downhill attack style defense. As good as Texas is, though, we'll use them as the comp. As good as Texas is on defense, their secondary is not as good as South Carolina's, and that's one of the things this weekend. Diego Pavia, that is when he does get those moments and he gets sucked in or pushed out by Carolina's edge rushers, and he's got to make a throw somewhere. Those guys are ball hawks. All of them are, and I think that's going to be a big moment for South Carolina. I got a feeling they're gonna snag 1 or 2 of those things, and we'll see how that affects the game.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds so elementary and it sounds so stupid when it comes out of my mouth, but like you have to make Diego uncomfortable. That is their offense. If he is uncomfortable, yeah, they have a decent running back, decent wide receiver in there, but if they can make him run for his life, it really could be a blowout. I really think that. Now, if he plays calm, cool, and collected, then I think Gamecocks will be in some trouble because, we saw what happened in Alabama. Once Alabama finally got the lead back and they started playing methodical football and they dinked and dunked all the way down the field to take the lead. Like, Diego's capable of that. I mean, I think that Jalen Milroe is a much better quarterback and much more pro potential than Diego Pavia. But if it gets into a fourth quarter game, like, he's not going to be scared. He's not going. Right. I mean, Vanderbilt's not going to be scared. Like, the key for South Carolina is to make this game over after 3 quarters. And so, Vanderbilt has shown the ability to onside kick just like South Carolina has this year. I mean, Vanderbilt's going to be playing to win this game at all costs. They know what their next 2 games look like, and they want to capitalize on the season they're having. And 6 wins is going to be, it'll be a letdown after how Vanderbilt started the season and what their fans' expectations are now. And I can promise you this: it doesn't matter that South Carolina's beat Vanderbilt 15, 16 times in a row. Their fans aren't scared of South Carolina like they would have been against Alabama. Like, they're going to go in expecting to win the game, and Gamecocks have to match that enthusiasm and match that competitiveness. And I think they'll get it done, but I'm just very worried about a fourth quarter game.
By the way, what a home slate this year for Vandy. Bama, Texas, Carolina, Tennessee. I mean, all of these games at home. Now, unfortunately, next year they're going to have to return the favor. But all those games were played there. Virginia Tech, was played there, and they're winning the games. They're winning the games, which is crazy to think about.
And here's the other thing: they played two overtime games this season as well. Vanderbilt has. So, South Carolina has not played an overtime game. I hope it doesn't get to overtime. But there is some experience there for Vanderbilt as well. So I never thought of you having this conversation about Vanderbilt. I really didn't.
Well, no. And you know what, though? It's not shocking because this league, you either rise up or you're out. We've been talking about Diego Pavia, though. I've got, we do have Michael Flint coming up. So I want to make sure that, we save some conversation for him. Sure. But Lenora Sellers last week looked the best that he's looked. And, okay, the average, I'm not even going to call it the average, the shallow football fan who looks at a box score and says, well, he didn't complete over 50% of his passes, probably forgets that there were multiple drops, forgets that a lot of those balls were just thrown away when he should have been sacked. It forgets that a couple of routes were run wrong by Nick Arbor. Et cetera, et cetera. He was incredibly accurate. He was a pinball machine back there, bouncing off of guys left and right. He was feeling pressure, not seeing pressure, eyes downfield, getting the football out to his playmakers. So there's the comfortability that we've been talking about. Okay, maybe he's entered that stage of his playing days. But to pile onto that, we'll see what it looks like tomorrow as far as what the game plan is. But this offense, the best version of itself is when Lenore Sellers and Rocket Sanders and Josh Simon have the football in their hands. Now, you've got to find a wide receiver, and they've had guys who flash from time to time. I'd say Mazio has flashed certainly the most this season. But Josh Simon, it's about, before we went into the year last year, everybody talked about Trey Knox. I was talking about Josh Simon. Yeah. Please somebody throw this guy the ball. He's outstanding. He's huge. His hands are, he catches it. He was not doing some things well, Matt, like blocking, kind of important. He's cleaned that up, so he's been able to play more. But Rocket Sanders is an All-American. He was an All-American 2 years ago. The kid is an All-American for a reason. Lenore Sellers is the best young quarterback in the SEC. That can be debated probably by a bunch of people, but I'll shut it down real quick if you just look at progress, okay? This offense last week was the best version of itself because those guys touched the football like 50 something times, and they scored 44 points. So whatever it is that they figured out during the off week going into A&M, hopefully there is carryover with adjustments for the next 4 games or so getting into the postseason. But that is the best South Carolina offense. Now, they still got to get better at pass pro. But as far as run blocking, that stuff is getting cleaned up, and these guys are able to make plays. And when they make plays, that offense is much more dangerous than a lot of people think that it is.
One of my favorite quotes from Shane after the game, and I think it was during the press conference, someone in the media asked him, do you add some wrinkles in here? Do you change some things up? And like Shane was like, no, not really. We just did what we've done all year. I was in my car. I was like, bull crap. Crap.
Yeah.
That's fine, Shane. Play the game. Maybe other coaches are like, oh, I guess they just got open against A&M. No, that was something different. That was awesome because when Rocket gets in space, Josh Simon gets in space, Lenores gets outside the pocket and can move and make things happen. Those are 50-yard chunk plays all the time. That's just the level of athleticism and ability those guys have. And all three of them are so hard to bring down. That's the other thing as well. And look, this is the healthiest Rocket's been all season. And look, I think he was probably like 90-95% coming into the season. He was healthy, but he wasn't 100%. The Rocket we saw in Williams-Brice Stadium Saturday night, that dude looks like a future NFL running back, and the way that he can just get off and go. Maybe he doesn't have the top end speed that always will get him 60 yards and a touchdown, but he becomes such a pain in the butt for other teams because it has to be backbreaking. And look, he's only had 6 or 7 career fumbles in his entire college career. And one of those came on a play where he was in the open field. I don't think you're going to see many more of those either. Look, it's hard to not be excited based on what you saw Saturday night, and hopefully that carries over. Mazio got knocked out like the third quarter or something like that, or early fourth. I can't remember exactly when it happened, but he didn't play. Nick Harbor's going to get better too. I see so much stuff on message boards. Defensive end, tight end, just give up football. Like, reps make you better. And he's getting those, and he's getting the opportunity to watch film and learn. I was talking to a high school coach the other day who said, these kids don't really know how to watch film until they get into a college program. They're just watching themselves to say, wow, that was a cool thing that I did. But once you get in the college program, the coaches are breaking it down. You get better, just so much better, so much quicker when you actually understand. I think that Nick is putting in the work to get better. I think that he could have a big game Saturday at Vanderbilt because, he is a athletic mismatch, just like Josh Simon is, just a little bit further out wide.
Yep. Yeah, there's no doubt.
They finally took shots to him.
Well, and they're going to have to. They're not always going to hit those. He does need to run better routes. He is lost when he gets downfield. He's not changing positions. He has to get better at wide receiver. That's what he's going to do. He's got to get a lot better at wide receiver. He's got to catch the foot. That ball hit him in the face mask last week. Come on, man. Like, you got to. If you're not going to catch it, it can't hit you in the helmet. Like, it has to at least hit you. Drop it from your hands, not your helmet. Like, so he is going to get better, but it needs to happen kind of quick, or he's going to find out real quick that he ain't going to be playing a bunch down the road. Like, they're going to recruit over him. They can't just continue to have years of hope at that position. With that said, though, he has shown that he can make plays. It's in there. They just have to consistently get it out of him. Matt, we got to let you run here in a second. So give us your final thoughts and keys to the game.
So final thoughts, limit Diego, what he can do. It sounds so basic, but if you can make him uncomfortable, I think the Gamecocks have a chance to roll with it. Defense, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't need to change anything there. Offense, if you can get one more pass catcher rolling in this game, go with Josh Simon. That would be huge for the Gamecocks. And then special teams, shout out to Alex Herrera making those field goals. Go ahead and kick your field goals and make them. 40 yards and in, I think he's pretty money, to be honest with you. So don't be scared if you're a Gamecock fan of Alex kicking a 40-yard field goal. He's pretty good from 40 and in. So, yeah, I'm still going to stick with 27-20. I would love for it to be a 27-10 game, and they get some garbage time points at the end of the fourth quarter. But I'll be glued to it. I'm going to be watching the basketball game tonight. Remember, Sunday, Rooster Rant. I'll be on with Joe and Alex. We'll talk all about the sports weekend, South Carolina. And then Tuesday, Alex and I will be previewing the Missouri game. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, Matt, can't wait to listen as always. Always appreciate you as well. Great stuff. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, my man.
Yep, you too. We'll talk soon. Bye, JB.
There you go. The king of late night, at least here on the Chief Sports Network, Matt Anderson. It's 12:58. We've got an hour to go. When we return, Michael Flint will be here and something special at 1:30. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Cornbread Cowboy, and you're listening to the show. We'll be right back.
If you're a fan of music, incredible storytelling,
one of our friends had met this beautiful girl at the bar that night.
a bit of history, you should check out my new show, Southern Songwriters with Patrick Davis. Every episode features a unique South Carolina town, a different stage, and music from world-class singer-songwriters. Join me for Southern Songwriters with Patrick Davis.
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting. Hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more.
Hi, I'm Joel Lurie. If you're turning 65 this year or retiring soon, you probably have questions about Medicare. How do I enroll in Medicare? When do I need to enroll? And what plan fits my needs and budget?
Why use an out-of-state call center when you can work with a local agency?
At Lurie Life and Health, we'll research your doctors and prescription drugs, and we'll help you find the plan that meets your needs and budget.
Lurie Life and Health. Our service is at no cost. Call Lurie Life and Health in Columbia, 803-256-2067.
Welcome to Palm Casual Patio Furniture. Because we are the factory, Palm Casual has the ability to offer the highest quality outdoor furniture paired with world-class service. Since 1979, our factory showrooms have done our best to make the buying process as easy as possible for our customers. Our understanding of the many factors that go into your decision has helped us create our 30-day trial period that increases the level of comfort our customers feel during the shopping experience. Visit us in Somerville, Mount Pleasant, Myrtle Beach, in Bluffton, and online at palmcasual.com for our products in out-of-state locations. Gamecock owned and operated. Welcome home. That's what the Gamecocks say, and so does nationally recognized the Barndominium Company, where they are building dream homes in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Tennessee. Their turnkey process can be custom designed and takes 6 months on average. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com, thebarndominiumco.com.
This is Inside the Gamecocks, the preview show. Presented by Resto Pros of the Midlands and the Barndominium Company.
Left side, now flipping it back to Ellison, throwing for Crowder, into the end zone, caught.
Yes, he will! Touchdown, Gamecocks! Are you kidding me?
Leaping touch to Brady Wells, at the 10, 5, touchdown Carolina.
Ryan Brewer, his heart is pumping right now. How do I look now to you?
Throws to Rice! Touchdown! He caught it in traffic! It's a pick! Executed to perfection by South Carolina.
Michigan at the 41. What a hit! Ball's free! On the ground! South Carolina deserves to have it, and they do! Let's talk Gamecock football with JB, JC, Phil, and our special guests, Michael Flint and John Strickland. Go Gamecocks!
It is the final hour of our work week, and we are teeing up the weekend. Carolina and Vanderbilt in Nashville. Welcome back inside the Gamecocks. The show this hour is brought to you by the great Gamecock himself, Tony Pope, and Tony Pope State Farm. Head to TonyPope.com if you need to take a good, hard look at your insurance options. TonyPope.com. Also a proud supporter of Gamecock athletics and high school athletics all across the Palmetto State. This game this weekend will be played in the Volunteer State. It is number 25 Vanderbilt and unranked South Carolina. Many Gamecocks think that they should be ranked in this week's version of the college football playoffs, but they're not. There will be about 30,000 people in a sold-out First Bank Stadium tomorrow, 4:15 Eastern kick, 3:15 local time, and it will be televised on the SEC network by Dave Neal, Aaron Murray, and Ashley Shah Ahmadi. Todd, Tommy, and Chet have it on the Gamecock Sports Network, and it is also available nationwide on Sirius XM. South Carolina is looking for their 16th straight victory in the series against Vanderbilt. Vandy has beaten every single team in the SEC since then, but not the Gamecocks. In addition to that, it would also give Carolina their 6th win of the year, making them bowl eligible for the 3rd time under Shane Beamer, and it would be their 4th win of the SEC season as well. They won 4 in 2022. That's the only time since 2018. It would give the Gamecocks their 3rd SEC road win of the season, something they have not accomplished since 2011. It would also be the 2nd straight win over a nationally ranked opponent after 8 straight losses. 2011, that was a pretty good defensive year, wasn't it, Michael Flint? This one's pretty good, too. They're going to have an interesting contest and an interesting quarterback in Vandy this weekend. But glad to finally have you back. It only took 16 phone calls to family members and beyond to figure out where you were, but we do have you this week. I got news for you, though. I lied to you this morning.
Why is that?
You will not be the only one on the program today in the final hour.
Nice. Who's the special guest?
I'm not telling you, but you'll find out here in just a little bit. We had to have a backup plan. Just in case. For those wondering, Michael is actually traveling to well, I'm not going to say where, but he is actually traveling, but we do have him. So, Mike, look, man, you couldn't have told anybody before the season that South Carolina would be 5-3 and knocking on the door of the college football playoff. Well, you could have told people that, and some people would have believed it. What you couldn't have told them is they'd be playing Vanderbilt, who's already bowl eligible at 6-3. It's been a special year for the Commodores. Both these programs have some tremendous wins. Both of them have heartbreaking losses, and tomorrow they're gonna clash up there in the Music City.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what Vanderbilt's been able to do similar to South Carolina in the transfer portal and be able to build their team and kind of be able to help fill holes and do a good job of doing that. And it's exactly what Coach Beamer's done. I mean, Coach Beamer and his staff have done a phenomenal job of finding the right guys. You can't just go find anybody. You got to be able to find the right guys with the right fit. And, it's South Carolina's reaped the benefits of it, and Vanderbilt also has as well. And they're bringing in the right guys that fit the program and fit what they're looking to do. And I think, Clark Lee's done a phenomenal job of doing that. And, he's passionate about the program just like Coach Beamer is. And so, Vanderbilt's built something really good in what they have. And, it's going to be an interesting matchup, but, it's good to see Vanderbilt having some success. But, we don't want that to come at South Carolina's expense. But I think it's going to be a good matchup. Defensively, what South Carolina does versus, what Vanderbilt's been able to do offensively, it's going to be a fun matchup to watch. But with Vanderbilt being number 24, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it is, Mike. I think that what we saw last weekend, I know that this sounds somebody listening or watching probably is like, yeah, no blank Sherlock. But I I think that we found the best version of South Carolina's offense against the Aggies last weekend. I mean, Rocket Sanders, everybody talks about how many yards he ran for. Well, he also caught the football 5 times for 92 yards. You know, you're talking about Josh Simon, a playmaker. You and I have been all over this guy for 2 years. Like, good God, get him the ball, man. And last week he played like the second best tight end in the country. That kid from Penn State catches freaking everything. That's ridiculous. But you know, he played like one of the best tight ends in the country, and he's got a chance to go to the NFL. You know, Lenore Sellers, Mike, we were chatting on the phone late last night, right, about some of these design runs that they have given him, getting him outside of the tackle box to run it, to throw it, but putting him in situations where it minimizes the opportunity of getting hurt. High percentage plays where he can go gain some yards, but still be able to protect himself a little bit. And you look at the run lanes that all of a sudden are beginning to open with this offensive line. Those are your best offensive players. They're also the guys who've proven the most of the dudes that they have, right? Maybe with the exception of Juju McDowell, who I don't think's gotten the ball enough. So maybe, just maybe, they're morphing into their identity. These are our best players. We need to be creative in how they get the football.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And I think you're starting to see Lenore Sellers, I say, grow up. You're starting to see him kind of it start to slow down for him a little bit. I think, you know, we touched on this early in the year where, you know, the expectation coming out of spring ball and coming out of summer, you know, at fall camp was, you know, Lenore Sellers looks good. And I think a lot of people was expecting him to be Superman out there. And you just can't put that on the shoulders of a redshirt freshman and expect everything to go well. But, you know, he's learned from the mistakes. He's taken coaching. He's studying film. And you're starting to see everything slow down for him. And what he did, you know, on Saturday night, just the way that he was able to just brush off, but, you know, kind of elude tackles, you know, get hit and not go down is impressive. Texas A&M's got some NFL caliber defensive linemen on there that Lenore Sellers that, you know, were hitting him, and he was able to elude them, get out the pocket. He kept his eyes downfield, and he took his checkdowns. He took the checkdowns to Rocket, got him the ball, didn't really force a whole lot. You know, the percentage may not necessarily have been there, but you could see him maturing a lot and taking the easy throw and not trying to force anything downfield. But, you know, I love getting him outside the pocket a little bit more. You know, I loved seeing that, you know, getting Josh Simon the ball, getting Rocket the ball, using him. And I know we've talked about this before, but using different facets of the run to help you set up the pass, you know, being able to use that play action game and really building plays off of previous plays to make it look like something it's not. You know, and that's exactly what you could do in having success in the run game is being able to utilize that play action game a lot more efficiently and effectively, and, you know, give Lenoris that time. But, you know, he's starting to grow up, and you could see him, everything kind of starting to slow down for him. But it was really fun to see him have the success out there. You know, after kind of all the, you know, the games leading up to this, where he's had some tough games. He's had some great moments, had some tough moments, but for him to have that kind of game, you can see the potential of what South Carolina is getting in their quarterback now and in the quarterback of the future.
Mike, you got your feel versus see pressure stuff last weekend. I know you were excited to be able to talk about that because he certainly was feeling it instead of staring it right in the face. I mean, there were 3, 4, maybe 5, but I know of 3 or 4 opportunities, just point blank range, and the Aggies couldn't get him to the ground. What is, you just mentioned that the game is slowing down for him. So kind of walk us through a little bit more what you mean by that, based off of those plays in particular.
Yeah, you know, a lot of it is keeping your eyes downfield as a quarterback. You know, I say feel the pressure, not see the pressure. And what I mean by that is if you see the pressure, that means your eyes aren't downfield engaged in, you know, coverages or where your guys are, where defensive backs are, what coverage you think they're in. You want to be able to feel it so you can keep your eyes down. And when you're starting to see it, everything's just kind of going like chaos. And that's why a lot of the timing stuff and a lot of his throws potentially were late, because he had his eyes down trying to see where the pressure was going to come from. And that happens a lot with young guys. It takes repetition. It takes, games to get through that, to get comfortable. And you could definitely see his footwork in the pocket was consistently good. And that was really good to see, seeing him step up in the pocket, slide, elude defenders, keep his eyes downfield, and be able to deliver the football and not really leave the pocket too early. Don't give up on it too early. I think the line did a lot better job against a lot better of a defensive front than we faced throughout the course of the year. Credit to those front 5 and 6 guys. Even Josh Simon, his blocking has gotten tremendously better from the beginning of the season to now. And I mean better by being more consistent, up there blocking, and kind of that unit gelling, which it was good to see, man. And I thought they did a good job, but seeing Lenoris keep his eyes downfield, the footwork in the pocket, his awareness has just gotten better and better and better each game. And that's a huge testament to him and how hard he works. And it's gonna be fun to watch. And he's gonna have moments of regression, but
sure,
to be able to consistently keep that awareness there, be able to have that footwork and not let, a lot of times when quarterbacks start to see the pressure, their footwork and their fundamentals take a step back as well. And that's where you see errant throws or you see the ball sail. So that was fun to watch, because Texas A&M is a dang good football team. And, Lenoris was getting pressured a lot, but he stayed calm and, just did a phenomenal job. And, he, deserves a lot of credit for how much better he's gotten throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, he does. And this by the way, this is a Vanderbilt football team that does have 22 sacks on the season. It's a nice number for their defense. I wouldn't say obviously that's anything earth shattering, but it certainly is a nice number. And they will say, I mean, Clark Lee, if we know anything about Clark Lee, there's guys going to be coming from all over the place. And that's what they do. They're gonna show here and come there or whatever. So Mike, when we talk about this game right here, one of the things that I noticed in the A&M game, well, you've seen it from off and on this year, but I've gone back and watched that game a couple of times. You and I were watching it together last night, as a matter of fact. After it was a late night, Phil. We had Carolina baseball, and then Mike and I had film room. But Josiah Thompson, the kid is going to play in the NFL one day. He's going to have a boatload of accolades. My gut tells me he's going to finish this year as a freshman All-American. He's certainly going to be All-SEC, at least on the freshman team, and he's going to have a bunch of these things down the road. But that doesn't mean that he's not a freshman, and he has been confused quite a few times this year. He's taken the inside guy, should have taken the outside guy, those type things. So when you have a defense like Vanderbilt, who is going to show a ton of different pressures, Mike, they are going to attack guys like that who have a tendency to maybe pick the wrong guy. So I think that's a key matchup this weekend.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And I have noticed a lot of, not a lot of times, but I've noticed that we could struggle with some of the blitz pickups and not, guys coming and reacting late. And that was, one of Lenoris's, really good, plays getting out the pocket was, I think it was a safety blitz maybe, where the safety came down and ended up blitzing over top of the guard, and the defensive end dropped. And so, the guard did what he thought to do, was take the guy to his right where the tackle would take the defensive end, but the defensive end dropped. They both took the guard, and that safety came untouched. And it's things like that where you got to, as a lineman, you got to keep your head on a swivel. And that's why, Strix always said, like, the cohesiveness of that unit, it's so big, because you gotta see that, you got to see those kind of things. But, and that's where a lot of film prep and study comes in. And this is going to be a really big game for the tight ends and the running backs, because we're going to have to utilize the running backs to help chip, those guys coming, or to help support, those front 5 or those front 6 with the tight end. So you'll see, Rocket's going to have a big game, and Oscar and all those guys are going to have a big game blocking as well. And that's going to be a huge part, I think, of this game is those running backs and tight ends having success blocking up front, because with all that pressure, those guys got to stay in, or we got to get the ball out of Lenoris's hands quick. And there's ways to offset that pressure with the screen game and delays and things of that nature. So that's another aspect of kind of how we prep and plan with, Vanderbilt being consistently trying to pressure, how we try to offset some of that pressure, to keep them kind of on their heels a bit. And a lot of that comes through the screen game and through draws and delays and things of that nature. So, quick game to the receiver, get your athletes the ball in space and let them go. So that's one thing to keep an eye on, just with all the pressures and stuff, is, we have struggled at times up front, picking those types of things up, and Lenoir's feeling a lot of pressure. So it's going to be important for the tight ends and the running backs to have a big game blocking as well. And things like that don't show up on the stats for those guys, but it's critical for our offense to be able to maintain drives and have success and score points.
Mike, on the defensive side of the football, I don't know. I guess you could probably, probably find a defense out there that's going to show you some better stats. I don't know. Let me see who they've played. Maybe some better ratings and things like that. Whatever. Give me this defense over all those. I don't. It's been a long time, Mike. We were racking our brains last night in our lifetimes about the great defenses we've seen. And I go back. A lot of people forget 1999. And Phil, you probably remember. Michael doesn't remember what he did yesterday, but I did remind him the 99 team, which is right before Mike got to school at South Carolina. Everybody looks at that as 0-11, and they should, because they were 0-11. That was the worst offense in the history of college football. I mean, it was terrible because of injuries and all kinds of issues. But that defense was damn good. And then, you flip ahead in 2000, they get going, they get the upsets at the beginning of the year. That defense was damn good. That 2001 defense was really damn good, right, Michael? I mean, and then you fast forward and you've had some years with some outstanding. 2011 was just an incredible defense. 2012. This defense is as good as all of them. I would put these guys up against all of them. They're all going to have a chance to play in the NFL. Every freaking one. And they play fast. They play mean. They play disciplined. Michael, I think the thing that you've got Diego Pavia this weekend, right? And he's a guy who can cause some issues. Dual threat quarterbacks this year, unlike in recent history, have not chewed this team up and spit them out. The drop back traditional style passers aren't just flinging the ball over the place. Guys that run the football really well, they're not just running it. Like, they seem to either have an answer or find an answer for virtually every offense that they encounter. I don't know what I guess talent and maturity is what you equate it to, but nonetheless, these guys are going to give them a chance to win every game that's left on the schedule. And I think tomorrow Vanderbilt's going to find out quickly they're going to have their hands fuller than they thought.
No, man, there's no doubt. You're right. It's talent, it's athleticism, it's versatility, it's speed, it's these quick twitch guys. That's exactly what it is. And, but I tell you, Coach White deserves a whole heck of a lot of credit for what he's done with this defense, and what he's been able to do at halftime and the adjustments. He deserves a lot of credit because he puts these guys in situations to be able to have success and make plays based on their strengths. And it's just been fun to watch. Dylan Stewart, I've never seen a guy bend and get as low as he can and get off the ball. Kyle Kennard, just what he's able to do with strength, power, but also his speed, and be able to use his hands. Playing defensive end it's huge that you're able to use your hands, because that's a huge part of it as well.
And those guys, and just, you got guys like TJ Sanders and Tonka Hemingway. Tonka Hemingway can pretty much play anywhere along that defensive front and have a lot of success. TJ Sanders and those guys, they deserve a ton of credit for what this defense has been able to do, because when you got a front four that's that good, it gives a lot of relief to those guys behind them, especially the secondary. When you got quarterback that is consistently under pressure and having to move and shake, and he doesn't have all day to sit back there and throw the ball, and they got to really throw it with timing. Those guys feed off that. And I think this defense as a whole is just the cohesiveness and how much they gelled has just been very impressive. And it really it comes down to leadership. You got a guy like Debo Williams. You got a guy like him who's been here for a while that can, it's a huge part of it. I don't think people really understand that having a cohesive group like that makes all the difference in the world. Rather than having a bunch of me guys out there who I say this with they're going to do their assignment. When you got me guys out there, you got guys who take chances for themselves to try to make a play, and it leaves their teammate next to them out to dry, or their teammate behind them out to dry. And you don't have a bunch of guys like that. You got guys that are coachable, that do their assignment, and they're not about themselves and trying to take risks that benefit themselves rather than the greater good of the team. And it's just been fun to watch, because you can definitely see that with these guys, and it starts at the top again with the leadership, from a player standpoint, from a coaching standpoint.
When you have a quarterback like Diego Pavia, we've obviously had this conversation multiple times about other quarterbacks that they have gone up against, but just to kind of reiterate the point, and you have a guy like Dylan Stewart who just flat out flies upfield. Hey, nobody's blocked him this year. LSU can claim that they did. That's a lie. I watched the game with my own two eyes, sitting right there, and I've rewatched it twice. They held him about 6 times in the game, but they didn't block him that much, okay? So Dylan Stewart, Kyle Kennard, being the experienced guy that he is, a little bit more, obviously, you mentioned the word mature, so we'll stick with that, but controlled would be another word that I would use as far as rushing the quarterback and those type things. So those guys will kind of fly upfield, Mike. And then you got a guy like Diego Pavia who, if you get a read on that and you get a crease, you can gain some yardage. But Carolina's been pretty good this year at not allowing a lot of that to happen. So you got about 2 minutes left in this segment here, and we got to hit a timeout. But kind of give us a synopsis of what you've seen the Gamecocks doing to allow their ends to kind of fly around and then everybody else to fill in those gaps.
Yeah, well, they're doing it the right way. They're doing it in a controlled manner where they're not flying upfield and giving the quarterback the opportunity to hit that run lane and go. But I think a lot of it comes down to, coverage type situations too, to where you got guys behind them that if that does happen, you're not, in man-to-man situations, it's critical that you don't fly upfield like that, because once that lane opens, you've seen it so many times with dual threat guys that once that lane is there and you got man situations and you got guys downfield, that quarterback's got a lot of green grass to run on. But when you got guys behind that are there, and like I said, it's about doing your assignment. You got linebackers that are athletic. Demetrius Knight, I think, is playing great. Bam Martin Scott, those guys are athletic and can fly around the field. And we got guys that can match, speed for speed with these dual threat guys, which is huge. That's one of the most critical pieces, is having guys that you can match that athleticism, where a lot of schools, you got guys at the linebacker position or the defensive end position that just can't match the athleticism. But, we got guys that can do that. And that's why this defense is so special, is because we're able to match that athleticism of these dual threat guys and these opposing quarterbacks. And you see how good of athletes they are, how good of an athlete Jalen Milroe is. He's a freak. I mean, that guy's probably one of the best overall athletes in the SEC, right there along with Reese. And then, we'll see against Vanderbilt with Pavia. But, we're able to match the athleticism. But, Coach White puts these guys in good situations to where, we tend to not give up those big plays. But with those defensive ends and defensive linemen, it's all about control. But, our guys are better. they're better coached. They're fundamentally sound, and it's fun to watch these guys because they're not just they're flying around, but they're doing it in the right way. But yeah, play with these guys. It's all about rushing in a controlled manner. You can't just fly upfield, and we've talked about that before. So it really comes down to a lot of it is athleticism and talent that we got on that side of the ball.
A reminder, if you are a club or a chief club member, make sure that you if you're a club chief member, make sure you've checked your emails to join us and get your tickets. Join us next Saturday. You'll have a chance if he shows up to meet Michael Flint at our club chief tailgate over at TLC just outside of Williams-Brice Stadium. He might miss a show, but he never misses a party. He'll be there for that, I can assure you. So we're looking forward to Club Chief Tailgate. Make sure if you don't have a link to be able to get your tickets in that same app, click the connect button and send me an email, and we'll make sure that we get it. My email address is right there. You can send me hate mail too if that's really what you want to do. Also, a reminder, the Fab Five is up. That is also in our app, which is the home of everything. If you need anything, that's where you go. The app, right? The Chief Sports app. So play the Fab Five now with a chance to win a $25 gift card to Salsaritas and a $25 gift card to Gamecock Traditions. Michael mentioned talent. When we return, we'll show you what talent looks like. Hang tight. Inside the Gamecocks, the show built by the Barn Dough. So we'll be right back.
There's nothing like Saturday in South Carolina. However you enjoy Gamecock football, Gamecock Traditions has a long-standing legacy of being a part of your game day. From tailgates to touchdowns, Gamecock Traditions has what you need and want with our beloved Block C logo. Get into Gamecock Traditions in Lexington or the Village at Sand Hill, or visit GamecockTraditions.com and have it shipped to your doorstep. We look forward to taking care of your family. Go Gamecocks.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
I'm not allowed to tell the ref how bad he is, so I'm going to need you to do that for me. Oh. He said, you're gone.
I'm a beggar who could use some help. I'm a seeker, searching for myself. I'm a rolling stone, just waiting on a friend. I'm a lover, wishing on a star for another, with a broken heart to hold each other close till the end.
Nana's Porch presents a Southern staple delivered right to your doorstep. Nana's Porch locally crafted pimento cheese has been a hit for years at weddings, tailgates, and other events. Now you can order online and have it sent to your home. Visit nanasporch.com. That's nanasporch.com and click the pimento cheese tab to choose between their original pimento cheese and their jalapeno smoked pimento cheese set. nanasporch.com, man, that's good.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
It's 1:30. I mentioned talent, Michael. The more talented brother has elected to join us today and actually, A, show up, B, talk about things that make sense, and C, actually show off how much better looking he is than you are. What's up, Steven?
How y'all doing?
That is true.
Folks, this is the bigger, stronger, faster, sexier, better smelling, smarter brother, the whole 9 yards. Now, if David was here, he'd probably argue that, Peen, but either way, Michael is behind you and your brother in all of those departments, and probably a lot that I'm forgetting.
Hey, you said it. I didn't.
I know that. Oh, so we've got 2 wide receivers. We also just got a note that Big John has landed in Nashville, and he wants to hop in too. So I don't even know what my purpose will serve here any longer. But dude, so Steven is a longtime listener, first time caller. This is a special moment.
First time, long time. Love it.
That's it. First time, long time. That comes from the Dan Patrick Show, doesn't it?
Hey, I don't know. I thought I had invented that, but I guess not. So, Mike, so moving forward, you're not on actually anymore. Steven, we've got him a NIL deal. He'll be here at 1 o'clock every Friday through the end of every season, forever.
Hey, sometimes you just got to pass the torch.
We passed it for you because we didn't know if you were gonna if you were actually going to show up.
That's right.
Steven, of course, played wide receiver for the Gamecocks as well. He was better than Michael, so his opinion matters more. Peen, I wanted, first of all, thanks for being here, man. I love you and your wife and everybody. Glad to have you for a little bit. I actually want to talk to you about the wide receivers. It's been kind of hit or miss all year. I know you've watched these guys run around, and it's one guy pops, and another guy pops, and another guy pops, but none of them have really been consistent. Some have been banged up, but last week it looked like they kind of turned to the tight end, Josh Simon, and he got some yards. But what have you seen out of that group this year? They've got some young guys that are, Mazio Bennett, guys like that are young. What have you seen from that group?
Yeah, good question. I think that early on in the season, I think you could see all of those guys being young and it coming out and showing, and honestly, to be honest, getting lined up, right? Having illegal shifts and illegal motions and stuff like that. That seems to be cleaned up, right? A lot of these guys, Coach Beamer and all the coaches are going to tell them you're not freshmen anymore, right? Season's halfway done. So that stuff's out of their system. And so you've seen them kind of grow up and get better each week as the season's going on. I think Bennett is really learning the scheme. I think he's getting open. I think he's finding out when it's man, when it's zone. He's settling down. He keeps running when he's supposed to keep running. But yeah, I think having the running backs and the tight ends come on as of late, as it's happened, has been a tremendous help, right? Because now you have to watch those guys. Now you got to cover them. Now you got to pay attention to the back out of the backfield, right? So it brings the coverage up just a little bit to sneak behind them, right? I think last week we saw a play action right, throw back left. Now that's a one-read play. If it's not there, Lenoris needs to throw it away, but sure enough, it's there. And then you see Mazio sneak in and make some critical catches, right? His hands have been great all year. I think that, Harbor's the big name everybody wants to talk about, right? We got to remember, he's still young. He's a track star. Football and track are two different things, right? He's got track speed. Football speed's a little bit different. I think he's getting used to that. I think he can develop into a really good receiver. We just got to give it time, right? And I think Lenoris is starting to throw some more catchable balls, which helps his receivers, right? I think last week we saw him throw a couple over the middle that were a little bit hard, right? And those are hard catches out in front of receivers, where if you're going to put it on them, you got to put it on them on the chest and help them out.
John Strickland joining us now too. John, I'm not sure if you heard what Steven just had to say, but he put more. John's already drinking, which is good news. Steven just put more information into one answer. He's been on the air for less than 5 minutes, and he just told us more than Michael's told us in 7 years.
Wow. Striz, come on, man.
John, you got to unmute yourself. There you
I couldn't stand y'all up like Flint does us all the time. So, had to pop in real quick from lovely downtown Las Vegas.
John does shows from He did a show from a van in Oklahoma. He did one from a hunt club in South Texas. Michael, he didn't have any choice. He's like, I'm gonna be in the car. I was like, your ass is gonna be on the freaking air switch. You're gonna be. I don't give a damn where you're going or what car you're in. So Steven took off work to do this.
See, that's dedication.
That's right.
Friday,
That's
man.
right. That's right. Hey, you get Mike's check moving forward, Peen.
Deal.
So, hey, all right, I want to ask you a little bit more about Nick. All right, because he had a tough week last week. Let's all be honest. And you've played wide receiver at this position. Michael ran around like a wide receiver for a little while at one point. But like, it is hard to be consistent, especially when you're young. And I know that. I don't know anything about playing wide receiver. I'm too short, too fat, and too slow. He caught the ball in the Alabama game, right? Which I thought was a big moment for him, Steven. Michael, we've talked about that. Like, we thought that was a big moment for him. A lot of these, last weekend a ball went through his hands and hit him in the helmet, and a lot of these deep routes, he seems to not know where he is sometimes. What is that like as a wide receiver and just getting underneath the ball, getting comfortable, learning how to use your body, but also like trying to form that camaraderie with your quarterback? Like there is a sixth sense there. I just don't think they've got it down yet.
Yeah, there's a lot to go into there. I think, one, he's young. Two, he's extremely fast. I think once he gets lined up at the line of scrimmage, they're putting a lot on a young kid to say, hey, is it cover 1? Is it cover 2? Is it cover 3? Is it 4? Is it combo? Are they going to change pre-snap, right? I don't know what coaches are asking him to do, if it's a one-stop shop and this is what he's got to do, but Coach Sprayer asked a lot of us, right? You've got to identify that, whether it's at the snap of the ball, pre-snap, and you have to know what to do, right? Because quarterbacks have got to be on the same page, and if you're not, you're going to look silly. I think you're right. Body control is critical. And if you go back 08, 09, 07, Alshon comes in, not the biggest, not the fastest, used his body better than anybody I've probably ever seen, right? He comes in, he positions himself, he gets separation. You don't have to be the fastest, right? You just got to understand how to get open. I think being fast helps, right? I think knowing what to do and knowing how to find space it's half the battle, right? You got to catch and you got to get open. That's really all it comes down to.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, yeah, that's 100% right. Body control is huge. And like Steven just nailed it with Alshon. Alshon wasn't the fastest. You could see. I mean, that was kind of the thing. But he somehow got open, created separation. Speed does help, but you have to understand how to use that speed. And there's a reason that at the combine and when you test it, when you do testing at college level, that it's not just the 40. There's a lot of lateral movement that is associated with the testing too. That the pro shuttle, the 3-cone drill, all that stuff is involved too. It's not just straight line speed, but it's elusiveness, lateral speed. A lot of that is involved too. But body control is a huge thing, and guys that have all three of those are end up being special guys. But that was spot on though.
John, I want to get you in on this. We've talked so much this year about this offensive line. I mentioned earlier I don't know who I mentioned it to. Maybe Michael, Matt. I can't remember anymore now. But Josiah Thompson at the end of the year he's going to be an All-American. He'll be a freshman All-American. He's going to probably be all SEC freshman team. And by the end of his career, he's going to have a trophy case. The kid's going to go to the NFL. He's that good. We all know he's that good. But Michael and I were actually up last night watching the replay of the A&M game again. And he from time to time, he's having issues getting the right guy out there. You've mentioned that before on our show too. Uberly talented, but he's a young left tackle in the best league in the country. Like, it's going to happen. But it does seem like Lenoris is getting so much more comfortable now, and he's able to kind of feel much of that pressure. So, you understand what it's like to play in this league and to be a young guy playing in this league and trying to grow up in this league. He's absorbed it. But now that Sellers is starting to kind of maybe find his feet with how especially up here in the game is slowing down, maybe some of that's going to be minimized here as we get into the last quarter of the season.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of knew, I said this in preseason when we started hearing, okay, Josiah's coming on. He's probably going to be the starting left tackle. And the one thing I said was, well, we know the guy's got all the talent in the world. The big part that it was gonna come down to is the mental side. I mean, it's tough. It's tough out there to be a true freshman in the SEC, especially on the offensive line. I don't care what anybody says, but most scouts or coaches will tell you the two toughest positions to play as a freshman is offensive line and quarterback, and they are the two most demanding mentally, and then you throw in physically on the offensive line. So it's a learning curve, but man, when he gets it going, I mean, he's playing very well. And you know what? I love what Case and Henry said the other day. I listened to his interview. He said, "Man, Lenoris, we appreciate you. We'll throw our bodies on the line for you." He's like, "You saved us from, we had 0 sacks, but you saved us from having 3 or 4 sacks with what you were able to do." So, I mean, I love to hear an offensive lineman say that. I mean, an offensive lineman, your favorite person is your quarterback. I can tell you that. And so, yeah, I thought, but Josiah, he's going to get better and better. It's just a learning curve. It's just like Lenoris. We've seen him blossom these past 3 or 4 games. He's just kind of steadily got a little bit better. And I think it'll start coming along even better for him. Hopefully this week he has his best game of the year.
Sticking on that, part of our programming every week is our friends at the South Carolina Education Lottery provide us the opportunity to give you our Carolina Jackpot players each ball game. One of them this week is number 53, and that is Vershawn Lee. If we know anything about Vanderbilt, Clark Lee, and what they do defensively under his guidance and leadership, is that he's going to bring pressure from a lot of different angles. If you can, this is one of those instances, guys, where you can actually go look at the stats and it'll tell you that story. Seeing how spread out their sacks are. They got 22 sacks and like 10 guys have a sack or something like that. And it's a lot. And QB pressures and this, that, and the other. So, John, I'll start with you. The importance of the center, Vershawn Lee, being able to communicate a lot of the things that he sees this weekend against a stingy Vandy defense.
It's very important. Obviously, it starts up front with the center, making the correct calls, getting everybody adjusted to blocking the right man. It's very important for the center to be on his A game, mentally and physically. And I'll tell you what, that block Rashawn made on Rocket's 55-yard run last week was as good as it gets. So I've really enjoyed watching him play this year. And but yeah, it all starts up front with him getting those guys in the right spots.
If anybody's watching this and you see our Carolina Jackpot scratch off here, that's not a typo. There are 2 number 5s on this football team. One is Kyle Kennard, and the other is pretty important himself, Rocket Sanders. Steven, Rocket Sanders looked the best he's looked in a Carolina uniform last weekend. Probably some rain in the forecast tomorrow, although it is cleaning up a little bit, looks a little bit better. But this team runs the football. I mean, they run the football like 70% of the time or something like that, John, Steven. And if he's healthy, and those guys last week, you can argue the pass pro, but when it comes to what they're doing, getting in front of guys, all the run blocking stuff they've been working on, they've been getting better and better and better. Sanders needs one quick lane and he can go. We saw that last week, and I think he's very crucial tomorrow too.
Yeah, I'd agree, right? I think it starts up front with the big boys. I think they're getting better every week. They're opening it up. They're winning the line of scrimmage, which, look, let's all agree that if you don't win the line of scrimmage, you're not going to win a lot of football games. And I think that we're starting to push people around. Now, that doesn't mean we're winning every play, but he's a one-cut kind of guy, get downhill. He's not going to dance around. If it's not there, he's falling forward for 3 yards. And, heck, who doesn't want 3 yards a clip, right? And then once he gets his lane, off he goes, right? And so he's been a amazing piece of the puzzle for us this year, being able to catch the ball as well, getting into space, got to respect the play action, right? They're going to jump the box when he's getting going, opens it up for the tight end, opens it up right over the linebackers. It's just such a big piece of football, being able to run the ball. He's coming back from being a little bit gimpy, and I think we're seeing him start to come on full strength. And watch out, right? Don't get in front of him.
He's going to run for 400 yards against Clemson.
Hey, those guys got a lot of push too. I think going back and watching bits and pieces of it, you can see those guys, like you said, win the line of scrimmage, but not only win it, but get pushed to open up run lanes, moving those guys out of their gaps. But I think Case and Henry played one of the better games that he's played here and did a really good job.
Agree.
Yeah, and don't forget, right at the beginning of the season, I think everybody might have been scratching their head, but how many times did Lenoris pull the ball in the first game, second game, and we're all saying, oh my gosh, he's got 10 carries and it's not even the end of the first quarter. And so teams have seen that on tape and they got to respect the pull, right? They've got to respect him going. They've got to hold the line, the defensive end. They've got to hold the linebacker. So that's one less guy that Rocket has to worry about and hit that lane and go.
That's an interesting point, Steven. I hate calling you Steven, by the way. It's so hard to not just say your nickname. And I think I've done it 3 or 4 times. People are probably wondering what I'm saying. Sorry about that. But last weekend, we actually saw more than we've seen probably in the last couple of games, I would say, at least, maybe more, of Lenoris having a lot of direct – it seemed that way. At least it seemed that way. A lot of called runs where he was getting off tackle, getting out towards the sideline, plays that seemed to minimize, potentially getting his rear end kicked, if that makes sense. High percentage plays that would he'd be able to gain some yardage, get out of bounds, whatever it is. Am I just seeing that, or am I making that up, or did you see the same thing too? And how did it affect the offense, you think?
Yeah, look, he's a big cat, right? He's just as big as any of these boys that have been in the NFL at a high level. Cam Newton and Anthony Richardson. What's the guy's name at the Colts? Richardson, right?
Yeah, Richardson.
He's going to have to learn when to eat it, when to put his head down, when to get out of bounds, right? And that's just going to be reps. He doesn't get hit in practice. He needs to know down and distance, which is going to come like he did last week, and he put his head down and put his shoulder down and got the first down right there. When in the past we've seen, look, I'm going to be the first one to tell you, I don't mind him sliding one bit, right, in the right situation. I think on third down, you got to go get a first down, but it's a long season. It's a lot of hits. It's a toll on your body. We want to live to fight another down. I think that having a quarterback that has the ability to run opens up the offense, play action, opens up the run game. You're starting to see it more and more in the NFL, the college game coming over and kind of adopting some of these colleges' systems to try to get these kids comfortable. He seems to be comfortable with it. I think he's going to get better and better with time in his decision-making and understanding, because I can promise you those coaches are in the film room on Sunday saying, get down, get down, get down on certain situations. I think early in the year we saw him slide awkwardly a few times, and I think he's getting better at making those decisions mid-play.
Yeah, I think another thing too is that these design runs are being blocked for him. There's a blocking scheme for him to run, where a lot of these times where he's just scrambling and trying to get out the pocket, there's guys coming from everywhere. And so a lot of these hits he takes are potentially unexpected hits, to where you can't position yourself in a way to not take the full blow. And with these being designed runs and the block, him being blocked for it, instead of just running around not aimlessly, but just running around not knowing where guys are coming from, you're able to prepare yourself to either get down, prepare yourself to take a hit, or to move your body in a way where you're not absorbing a massive impact. And that's what a lot of these good mobile quarterbacks are able to do, is they avoid the big hits, and they're able to position themselves to avoid that. That's one of the big things about these called runs, rather than kind of these more so scramble type runs.
John?
Did y'all see Lamar Jackson last night?
A little bit. Yeah, not the whole game.
I mean, he's the master of maneuvering and not taking those really hard hits.
Yes.
So
he's great at it.
Yes, he is. He's the best, one of the best, if not the best at it. But yeah, man, I really like where Lenoris is going, and Steven's right. That one third down, the first drive, I think it was, that he slid short, and if he would have just jumped forward, he would have got the first down. It's definitely awareness. It's just situational awareness, and you could see it on his face. You could see his body language after he slid. He was like, "What the hell am I doing?" you know. And then he made up for it later to get that first down running over the DB. So, but yeah, no, I like the way he's playing. And yes, you do got to be smart because he means a lot to this team. And nothing against our other quarterbacks, but you know, if we don't lose Lenore's for the second half of the LSU game, I think that's an easy dub.
Well, I think the younger, better looking Flint made a great point there. You know, not all quarterbacks are created equally. He's 6'3", he's 250 pounds. Diego Pavia has a lot of this game in him too, but he's 5'10", 205 pounds. You know, so 210 pounds. What, you know, if he gets popped 15 times a game, and Lenore Sellers gets popped 15 times a game, generally it's going to be a little bit different. One more here. I want to switch to the other side of the ball. Mike, we'll start with you on this one. I'm sorry, the older, uglier one. The older, uglier Flint. We'll start with you. Eli Stowers is their top pass catcher, tight end, 38 catches, 516 yards, and 4 touchdowns. I feel like Nick Emanwari, is going to be a huge factor in the secondary this weekend. He's part of our Carolina Jackpot players this week as well.
Yeah, the safeties would definitely be a critical piece. Also, Kilgore is going to be a huge piece as well, and probably drawing a lot of assignment also. So I think, those two are going to be critical in being able to stop that tight end because, and as you've seen with Josh Simon, what an athletic tight end can do in line versus lined up, split out wide is big. And based on coverage and assignment, who's going to be responsible. But I like the two or three guys who will potentially be assigned, whether, based on coverage, whether it's Kilgore or Emanwari or whoever it may be. I think Emanwari's played his tail off this year and is showing to be not only one of the best safeties in the SEC and in the country, but, one of the best overall defensive backs. And he's really improved in pass coverage. But yeah, I think between Emanwari and Kilgore, it's going to be huge and really taking that safety net away from Pavia, because a quarterback gets comfortable with a guy. When you take that safety net away, it creates potentially a lot of chaos. That's really just going to benefit our defense and team and as a whole.
The Carolina Jackpot scratch-offs are on sale now. You can enter them online or in the Players Club app for a chance to win $50, $75, or $100,000 in an upcoming women's basketball game. See sceducationlottery.com. One quick note here before we get to our final pick. And Stephen, you're new to this, so don't go anywhere. It's just we have to play. We're contractually obligated to play what we have to play here in just a second. But one final quick note on the game: there will be a Muschamp on the field. Whit Muschamp, backup quarterback at Vanderbilt. It is time to make those final picks. Brought to you by our friends at the South Carolina Education Lottery.
Introducing this year's Carolina Jackpot $5 scratch-off ticket, featuring a chance to win up to $200,000. You can even enter your tickets into the Second Chance promotion. Step on the court for a chance to win $50, $75, or $100,000. This Palmetto Series lets show who really runs this state.
It is almost game day. Carolina will try to get to 6-3 tomorrow against Vanderbilt. It would be their 16th straight win. This line has just moved again. Carolina was bet all the way up to 6.5. It is now back down to 6, but they are favorites. Phil, we will start with you. Key to the game and a prediction.
Same as yesterday. Not yesterday. Jeez, last week. Strong up the middle. y'all thought I was crazy for saying that there'd be some points scored on A&M and Carolina, and I feel the same thing heading into the Vanderbilt game. Continue to stay strong up the middle defensively, contain Diego Pavia. I like the Gamecocks to do both of those things and run the ball again effectively. So give me a 34 to about 17 game here, Gamecocks.
Generally every week when I make my Wando prediction, I tell everybody Wando's going to win by like 70 points. Last week I predicted them to win 100-7 against Beckham, which they did, but there's only 2 digits on the scoreboard, so they had to show it as 10-7. But whatever. I'm going to do that this week. I don't like this matchup for Vanderbilt. I've said it all week. Usually it's the other way around. John, I'll be anxious to hear what you and Stephen and Michael have to say. I think Carolina's a bad matchup for the Commodores. I think a lot of people are looking at this as a very tight game because Vanderbilt plays nothing but tight games. But I don't think this one at the end of the day is going to be that close. I think Carolina ends up pulling away by at least 2 touchdowns, and they win the ball game. Go ahead, Strick.
All right, well, here's what I got. You got to disrupt the quarterback in this game. I think that's a big key. Disrupt the quarterback. Offensive line continue to grow and play like you did last week. I do agree. I think our front 7 are too much for Vandy's offensive line. But then you got the kicker. The kicker is the quarterback. He just seems to make things happen. So we got to disrupt him and keep him from making big plays. So with that said, I see the 2 score just like you. I'm going 31-17.
All right. Hey, where did Ugly Flint go? He probably got a call from your mom.
Maxed it out for the week. I mean, he's been here, an hour too long already.
Big Charlotte generally calls when he's on the air with us. So go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, look, I'll agree. I think that our front 7 is something that they have not seen this year. I think they're going to get to him. I think the defense is going to bend a little bit and not break just because Pavia's had that good of a year. He's a confident kid. He's playing good. And, it's cliche. We got to run the ball, right? That's going to open up everything else for the entire game. But I think we're going to be able to rush 4, get pressure, drop 7, and get some turnovers like we've done all year. And I think the offense is going to control the line of scrimmage with the line and then clicking. Like John said, it's right. Those guys have to play together, and they're starting to click all together. But I'm thinking then don't break 31-20 Gamecocks.
All right. The first prediction for the younger, better smelling, better looking, smarter Flint. Now to the ugly one. Go ahead, Mike.
I think one thing you got to look out for is complacency coming off a big win like this. And, another thing is, we've handled adversity pretty well. We handled adversity well at home, being up 14-0, giving up the lead, tying it back up at halftime, and then coming out of the half and really putting the foot down and, pressing the gas. And so I think those are 2 big things that we got to be careful for. But I just like the mindset of this team, the leadership under Coach Beamer. That's probably what they're harping on as well. And I do like South Carolina in this game. I'm taking the Gamecocks 34-20.
Good pick, Mike. That a boy. Well, we did it, Phil. We've made it through another week. We used to introduce Michael as the very single, very disease-free Michael. He's not one of those anymore. We'll let the audience figure out which one, though. Hey, Mike, we always appreciate you. Safe travels. Big John, well, we know nobody will mess with you, so just don't get in any trouble in Nashville and have a blast.
Yeah. We're about to hit Broadway for a couple hours, come back, shower up, get ready for Halls tonight, and then PD and Randy Hauser at 9:00 tonight.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a blast. By the way, I have a brick outside in the wall of Chiefs. They gave me a brick because I'm an original church choir member. So if you see my name, take a picture and send it to me if you don't mind. I was very important to building that building up there.
All right, I'll do it for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Steven, bring your ladder.
I'm sure I'll remember this.
Yeah, I'll text it to you. Steven, you've said more today that made sense than your brother has since he's been doing this with me, which we started in 2015. Probably not a shocker, man. Glad to have you. You know I love you and look forward to seeing you maybe next weekend, hopefully.
No doubt. Appreciate being on.
All right, brother. Yeah, man. There you go. Thanks to the Flint family and John Strickland. Thanks to Derek Scott and Matt Anderson for joining us earlier, and all of you. Eric Church will take us home. We'll be back at 11 o'clock on Monday morning right here on Inside the Gamecocks, the show built by the Barndominium Co.